Chapter 4073. Why was it said that the strong country meant the strong people? When the country was strong, the people of the country would speak with confidence when facing other countries. This was called a sense of superiority. Okamura was like a coward in front of Karla Tchaikovsky and a lackey in front of Baikalo. It was because Russia treated the Japanese very harshly, and the American Empire also treated the Japanese like dogs. Therefore, Okamura did this out of instinct. He was afraid, really afraid of them. Why was Okamura not so respectful towards Wan Guangxiao even though he was afraid of him? It was because Hua Xia was too particular about benevolence and etiquette, so he never gave the Japanese too much trouble. That was why Okamura dared to be so rash. If Hua Xia put aside those benevolence and etiquette and faced the Japanese with tough methods and a cold-blooded face, would the Japanese still treat Hua Xia like this? If that was the case, Okamura would probably hide when facing Wan Guangxiao. He wouldn't even dare to breathe loudly, let alone act so presumptuously. The American Empire grasped the essence of dealing with the Japanese, which was to torture them to death and completely subdue them. Although Hua Xia's values of using virtue to subdue people were the most correct values, when facing a bastard like the Japanese, they definitely couldn't use such a method. This was like a fastidious person who wanted to save face, meeting a disgusting person who liked to take advantage of others. No matter how fastidious this fastidious person was in doing things, the disgusting person would definitely not be fastidious with him. When it was time to take advantage of others, they would still take advantage of others. When it was time to take advantage of others, they would still take advantage of others. This was something that couldn't be changed in their bones. Therefore, what Hua Xia did couldn't make the Japanese respect Hua Xia. They would only obediently bow down to the country that could beat them into submission because they were afraid that if they didn't listen, the American Empire would give them 2 more nuclear weapons. Therefore, the Japanese had a heart of cheap lives that wasn't noble in their bones. This was not an insult or disgust to them. A nation where all of its citizens had shown great integrity, a nation that would stand in front of their own country's shrines and would be devout in their beliefs, yet they were behaving like obedient dogs in front of the U.S. Empire that had once dropped an atomic bomb on their country. Wasn't that disgusting? Seeing that Okamura Komoto didn't dare to raise his head in front of Brother Oro, Baikalo immediately gave up on this coward. Can we still talk about the core issue of our meeting? Baikalo raised his voice and stiffly dragged the topic back. We are very certain that the location of Martifran Island will be met with a terrifying ocean storm that has not been seen in 1,000 years. The storm might even destroy the entire island. Then why did you ask us to waste our breath discussing whether to give up the plan and destroy the prison on Martifran's Island? Wan Guangxiao asked. Baikalo shook his head and said, "You should know better than me what kind of people are locked up in this prison, right? The island might be destroyed, the prison might be destroyed, but what if the people inside survived? Wouldn't that be a disaster? A storm that can even destroy an island, who can survive in that situation?" Karla Tchaikovsky sneered. He knew very well that Baikalo was a bastard who liked to exaggerate. The island couldn't be destroyed. Baikalo just wanted to use this opportunity to destroy the island. In short, it's better to kill the wrong person than to let them go. Baikalo said. I have to ensure that the prisoners in the prison on Martifran's Island are completely dead, so you have to cooperate with me. Karla Tchaikovsky turned a deaf ear to Baikalo's words. Wan Guangxiao still insisted on his position. I want to bring back the undead guard of Hua Xia. I have no other requests. Do you know how terrifying the tornado on Martifran's Island is right now? Baikalo glared. You don't know anything, and you're just spouting nonsense here. Do you think that only the American Empire has the clearest satellite cloud picture? Wan Guangxiao said. Our Hua Xia has the same technology. I know the situation on Martifran's Island very well, and I believe that others can see that there are indeed 4 large marine tornadoes surrounding Martifran's Island. Then let me ask you, under such circumstances, you still want to go and pick up your undead guard? Baikalo said. Let the living take the risk to pick up the dead? Are you crazy, or am I crazy? Wan Guangxiao did not agree to Baikalo's destructive bombing of Martifran's Island. Naturally, it was not just for the undead guard. Although he did want to bring back the undead guard, he would not agree to let the living risk their lives to do this. After all, Wan Guangxiao was a rational person. And now, Wan Guangxiao knew too well how many people were in the prison on Mardi Franz Island. These people were the ones he had to protect. "Just think of me as crazy," Wan Guangxiao said. "But you have to remember, a crazy person may do a lot of crazy things that you can't imagine." "Are you threatening me?" Bai Khalil said. Wan Guangxiao said lightly. "You can take it as a threat, because I want to tell you very clearly now. If you want to destroy Mardi Franz Island, you have to wait for me to bring out all the undead guards I sent in, because I have to know if they have more or less things on them. The American Empire has not done anything privately. I just need to bring out my undead guards, and the truth will be revealed." Wan Guangxiao's seemingly casual words had actually whetted the appetites of all the people from various countries. "If that's the case, Bai Khalil, you will have another threat." Karlichki also said, "I have the same idea as Wan Guangxiao. I also want to bring out the people I sent in." Bai Khalil's eyes were bloodshot, and his heart was burning with anger. "If you didn't do anything, then it's fine. But if you did, Russia will definitely not let you go," Karlichki added. Bai Khalil wanted to use his toughness to reply. "If I must destroy Mardi Franz Island without your consent, what can you do? There is no missile defense system there. No one can stop the American Empire from locking on to the target." "You can try." At this time, Karlichki was even tougher than Bai Khalil. "Maybe you don't believe me, but I remember that we have a clear number of the coordinates of the American Empire's military bases in every corner of the world, and we also have some targeted arrangements." "What did you say?" Bai Khalil slammed the table. "Karlichki, let me give you a sentence from Hua Xia. Only the state can set fires, but the people can't light lamps? The American Empire has targeted arrangements in every corner of the world, right? Why can't we?" Bai Khalil couldn't say a word. At this time, the representative of Germany also stood up and said, "I also want to bring back the guards I sent to Mardi Franz Island. If the American Empire is worried about the chip, we can jointly send people to bring our people out. You can take the chip under our supervision. This way we will only get our people. I have the authority to deal with our people, whether they are alive or dead." These words also attracted the agreement of the representatives of several other countries. Everyone made this request because they were all worried that the American Empire had done some secret experiments. They could only carry out the research by bringing back the undead guards sent by their own countries. At this time, interests were absolutely above everything else. Noble integrity and morals were all nonsense. Every country wanted to bring back the undead guards they sent, not because these people were once heroes, but because these people were involved in a matter of interests. Sometimes, human nature could be quite ugly. But it was this ugliness that allowed human beings to develop. This ugliness also set off the kindness and beauty of this world to a certain extent. "Are you all crazy?" Bai Khalil stared and said, "You want to bring back the dead at this time? I want to see how many lives you are going to send in. Lunatics. All of you are lunatics. Damn lunatics." Chapter 4074. Matthew, who was sitting in front of the computer, let out a long sigh of relief. When he hacked into the smart chip and turned off the Undead Guard's action command, the system's anti-tracking system began to lock onto him. He also quickly reacted and used the safest way to eliminate all traces of his presence. This made the system's anti-tracking system completely confused. The world was abuzz with all kinds of war between humans and machines. Humans always lost to computers, which made Matthew very unhappy. His invasion and escape this time was actually a confrontation with the most advanced artificial intelligence system. Although it was extremely thrilling, he still won by half a point and won this silent confrontation without any mishap. Everything he did was done silently, but for the people in the Mardi Franz Island serious crime prison, it was a rare piece. All the undead guards who were madly attacking the cell to continue fighting stopped their actions. Once the action system stopped, all the undead guards would stand at attention against the wall and stop all actions. This really made the people in the Mardi Franz Island serious crime prison extremely surprised. A second ago, they were still fiercely discussing whether or not to go to the fourth floor, and the next second, they were staring at each other in silence. Wang Yi immediately thought of Matthew and realized that Wan Guangxiao had done something he shouldn't do. It seems that the trouble the undead guards gave us has been completely solved. Wang Yi smiled slightly. Our trip can be considered smooth sailing. If there is really no way out, I don't want these guys to really become like this. Lin Gu smiled bitterly. At least when they are aggressive, it doesn't make me feel like time is passing so slowly. There must be a way. CFAI said lightly. There are so many of us, it's not like we can't even think of a way. My dear brother, you are so optimistic. There are more bastards locked up here than there are us, and they haven't thought of a way out for so many years. Lin Gu shook his head. He really couldn't see any hope. Forget it, it doesn't matter, let's take one step at a time. Aren't you being too pessimistic? Bai Xiaoye said, there are more bastards here than us, but can they be compared to us in terms of intelligence? Moreover, the prisoners here are not selfish bastards. Even if they have a good idea, they won't share it. They want to go out, but they don't want others to go out, so they won't share it. Lin Gu thought for a moment. That's true. I was the one who taught them. Why is there such a big difference between your attitude and that of your senior brother? Lu Xuanji shook his head and said, it's not a good thing to be so pessimistic at such a young age. Lin Gu scratched his head and said, okay, I'm stupid. We'll definitely find a way. Then can we go up first and study how the entrance of this prison is designed? Lu Xianyu still hoped to bring everyone up as soon as possible. He needed to do his best to prevent these guys from causing trouble on the fourth floor. After all, the fourth floor was where the 5 war gods, the Dark Department, the ancient Magpie World, and Xian Yuanji lived. It was definitely not a place for them to play. You should indeed go and study it. This is the most meaningful thing you can do now. Su Ling also said, I will go down and inform the people below to let them know our current situation. You can rest assured about this. You'll go down? By yourself? Lu Xianyu was stunned. Su Ling glanced at him casually. What? Can't I? Do I need you to worry about me? Lu Xianyu was stunned by Su Ling's question. You should worry about yourself first. Su Ling shook her head helplessly. She thought to herself, this guy worries too much. He's worrying for nothing. I'll go with you, Bai Xiaoye said. Su Ling didn't have any prejudice against Bai Xiaoye because she was Zhua Langyue's daughter. She quite liked this girl who was responsible and courageous. Forget it. If I bring you down, your mother will definitely think that I'm deliberately pushing you into danger. At that time, I won't be able to explain myself. My mother isn't so narrow-minded. Senior, you're worrying too much, Bai Xiaoye said. Wang Yi said, I believe that the Empress isn't a narrow-minded person. However, this kind of thing involves her own child. It's hard to say. It's safer for you to come with us. Don't worry. My brother and I will go down with you. There's nothing for you to do here. Lin Gu waved his hand. Help us take care of our old man. Thank you. What do you mean? Lu Xuanji glared at him. Brat, don't court death. Do you think I don't know what you're doing? You won't have a foothold in the lower level. Get back here. I'm still waiting for you to take care of me when I'm old. I don't blame you for wanting to escape, but don't make me send you off. I don't have the time to do that for you. Lin Gu was scolded by Lu Xuanji until he almost covered his head and scurried away. Okay. I know. Your hair isn't white yet. Don't say such nonsense. Get over here. Lu Xuanji could let his beloved disciples do dangerous things, but he would never let them do things that would cost their lives. He was very clear about this. Seeing that Lu Xuanji and Wang Yi were leading the way, Su Ling felt at ease and went to the 4th level of the Mardi Franz Island prison alone. The rest stayed where they were, thinking of a solution while waiting for Su Ling to bring back news. They were really eager to know what was going on down there. Su Ling went straight to the 4th level. At this moment, there was still a fierce battle going on there. The battle here and the battle above were simply polar opposites. They weren't on the same level at all. As soon as Su Ling came down, she already felt the mental pressure caused by all kinds of powerful coercion. Every person in the dock department was a peerless master. Their strength was so high that it made people speechless. Su Ling really couldn't understand why they chose to stay in the dock department to do things with such high strength. Even the strength of the 5 war gods didn't need to be mentioned. Su Ling could only be regarded as the weakest among these people. Of course, whether it was the ancient Magpie world or Xian Yuanji, their strength was above her. Even with such a luxurious lineup, they could only have a slight upper hand in the entire situation. They didn't feel like they had an overwhelming advantage at all. One could imagine how powerful these prisoners were. Some of the prisoners' powerful coercion could even make Su Ling feel flustered. This level of strength naturally couldn't be underestimated. Although Su Ling knew that her participation wouldn't change the overall situation much, it turned out that sometimes, only the last straw was needed to break the camel's back. The felons on the 4th level of the prison were about to collapse under the pressure brought by such a powerful opponent. Although they were still in a persevering state on the surface, in fact, only they knew where their bottom line was. Under such circumstances, Su Ling's appearance had already given them an inexplicable psychological pressure. At this moment, these guys didn't know how many of them could come here to join the battle. This kind of feeling in the heart would make people completely collapse, so these guys collapsed in an instant. The entire situation began to show a rather strong state after Su Ling's arrival. It was completely one-sided. The dock department warriors whose morale had soared entered the crazy harvest stage. All the skills they practiced were killing skills. Needless to say, the 5 war gods naturally didn't need to say much. All the things that were suppressed in their hearts also erupted at this moment. Several people started a kill-stealing competition without warning. Although no one mentioned it, several people tacitly told themselves that their brothers had already started the competition, so they absolutely couldn't fall behind. Su Ling was a little nervous at first, but when the morale soared, she instantly entered the state of mind and joined the battle without hesitation. However, the ancient Magpie world and Xian Yuanji began to withdraw at this time. They only dealt with the opponents in front of them and didn't intend to participate anymore. Xian Yuanji also pulled Su Ling and smiled mysteriously. After they go crazy, we just need to watch the performance. Chapter 4075. The 5 war gods completely entered the state of performance. With the help of the other 4, Ling Feng easily dealt with the 5 people around him. His killing intent was terrifying. The soldiers of the dock department were also like fish in water in the group battle. After all, the degree of tacit understanding between them was completely lacking in their opponents. Facing a scattered sand, they naturally fought with ease, sweeping away 1,000 troops. At this time, if we also join in, it is very likely that we will be more of a hindrance. Not only will we not be able to help them solve the problem, we might even cause trouble for them. Gu Magpie smiled slightly. We don't know how to cooperate with them. Xian Yuanji also nodded. Yes, the degree of tacit understanding between these people of Mu Baichen is really high. They can clearly know where any of their brothers will appear next. Su Ling stared at them, dumbfounded. This was indeed the most reasonable battle arrangement she had ever seen in her life. Every move and every scheme was seamlessly connected. So many people were together, but it was as if there was only one person operating the operation. It's incredible. Su Ling sighed. Are they really human? Of course they are human. Xian Yuanji smiled bitterly. It's just that the strict training may have made them less human. The people of the dock department were originally just shadows. Gu Magpie said. Joining the dock department means losing everything you have, name, identity, rank, everything that a human has will be taken away by the dock department. Xian Yuanji shook his head. Yes, how can someone make such a stupid decision, willing to be a shadow? But you have to admit that the country really needs these shadows of the dock department. Gu Magpie said. Existence is reasonable. The dock department has its reasons. The way the dock department handles things is something we can never understand. You and I have to admit this. Shen Yuanji laughed. That's natural. If I can understand their thoughts, maybe I will join? Do you think the dock department is something you can join casually? Do you think there is no need for a background check or something? Su Ling rolled her eyes at Shen Yuanji. A person with a stain like you is not qualified to join the dock department. To be honest, Su Ling didn't want Shen Yuanji to join the dock department. In the dock department, one could only be a shadow living in an empty space. It really required an extremely strong psychological endurance to survive. What stain do I have? Shen Yuanji was stunned. Why didn't I know about it? Su Ling did not continue with this topic. Her gaze landed on the battlefield. They'll be done in, at most, 5 minutes. I'm afraid it won't take that long. Gu Magpie Realm smiled and shook his head. Sure enough, the eyes of the ancient magpie world were more vicious. In less than 4 minutes, all the felons on the 4th floor were taken care of. Not a single person was left alive. The existence of these people was a threat to the world. When everyone stopped to rest, Su Ling went forward and reported the situation outside to the people on the 4th floor. On the 3rd floor, Lu Xuanji arranged for Xie Fei's and Lin Gu to bring a few people to study the entrance of the prison. On the other hand, Wang Yi ordered Hua Leiteng and Han Zhan to search for Hua Xia's undead guards. Since they were already here, they might as well take them away. After all, this prison was now useless. It was better to let them rest in peace. They immediately began to search. Wang Yi also saw a few familiar faces among the people they found. When the familiar faces appeared in front of them, everyone in the Dragon Brigade was stunned. Yu Meiren was also waiting for an answer. She did not ask or speak, but she was waiting. She believed that she would be able to wait. Sure enough, she was not disappointed. Yu Yingxiong was found. Qian Feng carefully walked to Yu Meiren's side and whispered the situation to Yu Meiren. Yu Meiren calmly walked to Yu Yingxiong's side with a smile. There are some things I don't know how to explain to you, but I believe that the leader absolutely did not mean to disrespect any of them. Wang Yi stood beside Yu Meiren and explained for Wan Guangxiao. After all, the only person who was qualified to know and participate in this matter was Wan Guangxiao. Even if I am not a member of the Dragon Brigade, I can understand. Yu Meiren said softly, moreover, I am a member of the Dragon Brigade. I know what kind of person the leader is. You don't have to explain anything for him. I absolutely do not mean to blame him. I am really relieved that you can think like this. Wang Yi let out a long sigh of relief. Yu Meiren looked at her brother's expressionless face. She really wanted to experience what he was feeling now. Could the chip system make him feel energetic? Even if it was just a little bit. Yu Meiren gently stroked the wounds on his body. Everyone in the Dragon Brigade was silent. It was really hard for them to accept that the brother who grew up with them and then went through life and death with them had become like this. But they did indeed understand Wan Guangxiao's actions. Many times, the higher a person's position was, the more they would do things that were against their will but had no choice. There were many things in life that were out of one's control. And the higher a person's position was, the more things that were out of one's control would become. On the other hand, the commoners who knew nothing would have a more relaxed and comfortable life. But for an old farmer, the only thing that he could not control was the weather. If the heavens did not want to give him food, he could not control it. Everything else he did, he could control it himself. And for a person with a high position, the more things they could do, the more things they could not control would become. Take this matter for example. The other countries of the 10 strongest countries were participating in this matter. How could Hua Xia refuse? If they refused, the other countries would also participate in this matter. In the end, Hua Xia would become an outsider, so Wan Guangxiao had no choice but to participate. Many things were very complicated and could not be explained in 1 or 2 sentences. If we can get out of here, we must bring them out. Hua Leiteng looked at Yu Yingxiong's face. He clearly remembered the first time this kid went to Africa with them. It was like yesterday. But in the blink of an eye, they had been separated for God knows how many years. Sister, don't be sad. Hua Xiaolu walked behind you, Marin. Ing Xiong is our brother. We are your biological brothers. His soul is in us, so he is not dead. Yu Marin looked at Hua Xiaolu with relief. Hua Xiaolu's words were indeed very comforting. We will definitely bring him out. We will bring all the soldiers of Hua Xiar out. Wang Yi said, I promise you that we will find a way to open the entrance of the prison. We will definitely find a way. We promise. The Dragon Brigade members said. Bai Xiaoye did not like their overly militaristic reaction. All right, stop being so formal. Hurry up and think of a way. Yes. Chen Feng scratched his head. It sounded simple, but if he really had to think of a solution, his mind was completely blank. For him, this kind of clueless matter was like glue. To be honest, he really did not know where to start. Everyone present was actually the same. Everyone's mind was blank. The brain is really a good thing. Why didn't we bring someone with a high IQ before we came? Chen Feng looked at Wang Yi helplessly. If we had known, we would have brought Matthew here. We would have kidnapped him by force. If we had really brought him here, these undead guards would not have stopped attacking. Wang Yi said. Besides, you should know how important he is. He is the main developer of our country's top-secret military weapon. Under no circumstances can he be allowed to come out and take risks. Chen Feng patted himself on the head. How could he forget about this matter? There must be a way. We will definitely find a way. Zhuo Meiyan cheered everyone on. Maybe we need some sort of reward system. How about this? If anyone can come up with a good idea, I'll introduce them to the purest, prettiest, and most promising young female artists in Sky Entertainment Group. They'll get to know each other and fall in love. Who knows? Maybe they'll be able to start a family. Chapter 4076. President Zhuo, isn't this reward too tempting? Wang Yi laughed bitterly. Sky Entertainment Group's female artists are all very beautiful. I'm afraid that my young men aren't good enough for them. Zhuo Meiyan smiled slightly. You're afraid that they aren't good enough for your soldiers, right? I wouldn't dare. Wang Yi laughed and shook his head. Of course I wouldn't dare to think that way. The money that my young men earn in a year might not even be as much as your company's popular starlet in a day. This is the truth. Using the economy as your capital, this shouldn't be your way of thinking, Zhuo Meiyan said. You can't be so tacky. I can't help it, people in this world are tacky. Wang Yi became more serious. I'll be honest, your artists definitely won't be interested in my soldiers. Isn't this helping others boost their morale and diminishing our own? Chen Feng said unhappily, we're not that bad, right? No matter how you look at it, we're still good enough. Wang Yi knew that Chen Feng was here to stir up trouble. He wanted to lighten the mood and make things less awkward. However, a serious guy like Han Zhan was different. He said seriously, since ancient times, there has been a saying that actors harm the country. How can we date a woman from the entertainment industry? What nonsense are you talking about? Chen Feng was speechless. He thought that Han Zhan was really not smooth with his words. After all, their boss, Su Yun, was tied to the entertainment industry. This was a fact that no one could change. Han Zhan's words were somewhat inappropriate. However, Han Zhan didn't feel anything. I'm not talking nonsense. Haven't you heard of actors harming the country? Aren't you scolding those veteran actors? Hua Xiaolu also came over and tried to turn the situation into a joke. I'm not talking about those old artists. Old artists are not the actors I'm talking about. The actors I'm talking about are the so-called celebrities who rely on hype. Han Zhan's biggest flaw was that he was too serious. Those don't have any social merit, no representative works, and no cultural knowledge. They're all using advertisements, endorsements, and public opinion to build momentum for unscrupulous businesses and amass wealth for themselves. There are even those who take advantage of participating in entertainment variety shows to create new ideas, causing all kinds of words that seem fresh but have no cultural background to become a disaster. Under the influence of fans, they develop into the so-called culture. Pure trash without cultural creators. You don't have to say anything. Qian Feng was completely speechless. If you don't believe me, you can take a look at the various dynasties and dynasties. Many powerful countries have become rich and powerful, and people have no worries about their lives. That's why they started to support actors and actresses, and then Han Zhan suddenly realized that his words were insinuating at Sky Entertainment Corporation. When he noticed this, Qian Feng also gave up and let him say whatever he wanted. I'm just saying it casually. Han Zhan scratched his head. I know that our boss wouldn't do something that would harm the country. It's just that before I came here, I was afraid that there would be no future, so I watched my favorite movie, Farewell, My Concubine, again. After that, I had a new feeling. That's why I said what I said just now. President Zhua, please don't take offense. You're all Su Yun's brothers. You're all sincere people. Zhua Meiyan smiled. Of course I know you're not saying that Sky Entertainment Corporation will harm the country. Although Zhua Meiyan didn't have any intention of blaming Han Zhan still lowered his head in embarrassment. Don't worry. If any of Sky Entertainment Corporation's artists dares to harm the country, I guarantee that I'll be the first to ban them. Zhua Meiyan said. Previously, I did make a mistake. But now, because of Su Yun's influence on me, I really hope that Sky Entertainment Corporation can change Huaxia's film and entertainment culture. We don't understand that, but I believe you. Han Zhan nodded. Qian Feng chuckled. If that's the case, then Sky Entertainment Corporation's female artists must have a high enough level of awareness. It looks like I can really get them to be my wives. You dream on. Wen Xiao said disapprovingly. Why don't you take a look at yourself first? Maybe I still have a chance, but you don't. Go away, Qian Feng snorted. I'm much more handsome than you. You're just jealous of me. All right, now's not the time to bicker. If anyone comes up with a good idea, I'll give them 3 days off and allow President Zhua to introduce them to the beauties. Wang Yi said. If anyone has the ability to come up with a good idea and be able to do it after seeing the beauties again, then he'll be lucky. As an elder, I'll give him 60,000 yuan as a gift. Sure. Stingy. The boys jeered. At this moment, everyone's mood was a lot better. The oppressive atmosphere was also a lot better. 60,000 yuan is too little? Don't you know how much my monthly salary is? Am I not going to eat or drink? Wang Yi glared at him and said, Just 60,000. I'll pay for it out of my own pocket, not a single cent more. Purple and red is popular now. Lu Xuanji said. Even though I'm not in the mainland, I know more about the mainland's market than you. You're really out of touch with society. Wang Yi looked puzzled. What do you mean? 10,000 purple pieces for 5 yuan, 1,000 red pieces for 100. Lu Xuanji said. 150,000. I don't have that much money. Wang Yi immediately refused. Don't scam me. The money I earn every month isn't even enough to spend. Wang Yi was sponsoring 3 poor top students from Yenjing University at the same time. These students were all learning cutting-edge technology. In the future, they would have to serve the country. Wang Yi wouldn't shortchange them at all. As for his subordinates, if they got married, so be it if he gave them less. They wouldn't dare to do anything anyway. After the atmosphere became lively, everyone's thoughts began to relax a little. Some people began to put forward ideas to find if there was a computer control area in the prison. They wanted to see if they could crack the entrance through the computer. All the work was carried out in an orderly manner. In the Divine Sense realm, Feng Wuyin and Feng Wuhan had already fought hundreds of rounds. Feng Wuhan's face was full of surprise. He didn't believe that his brother's strength had improved so much over the years. What did you do? Feng Wuhan said. For so many years, I've been fighting with that Su guy every day. That's how I got to where I am today. You don't have such an opponent outside who can help you improve. How can you have such strength? There are many ways to improve your strength. Feng Wuyin said, as long as you can calm down, you will definitely be able to find a suitable one for yourself. Feng Wuhan shook his head crazily. No, impossible. You must have secretly practiced the absorption technique, right? It must be. You must have absorbed a lot of people's cultivation to make your cultivation so powerful today. Otherwise, it's absolutely impossible. Feng Wuyin said helplessly, I won't practice that kind of cultivation technique that harms others for my own benefit. There are only the two of us here. I'm your younger brother. There's no need for you to hide anything from me. Feng Wuhan said, you can pretend to be sanctimonious to the outside world, but put away those hypocrisies in front of me, right? This is not hypocrisy. It's the truth. Feng Wuyin said, as long as you put down the butcher's knife and repent, I will tell you my cultivation method. When you comprehend it, you will definitely achieve higher than me. But now, you have to understand your own mistake. I'm not wrong. You're the ones who are wrong. Feng Wuhan said, don't lie to me. I won't believe your words because it's impossible. You must have used the absorption technique. Otherwise, you wouldn't be my match. Absolutely not. Feng Wuyin realized that he should really give up on him. Feng Wuhan had completely lost his mind. Do you know what I did to protect you? Everyone outside wants you to die. Take it that I'm begging you. Please repent. Feng Wuyin said with an uneasy expression, I'm really begging you. They want me to die? Ha ha ha, then let me ask you, which one of them has the ability to kill me? Feng Wuhan sneered. If they're not afraid of death, then let them come. I want to see who has the guts to do so. Stubborn. Feng Wuyin said angrily, then don't blame me for not giving you a chance. After saying that, Feng Wuyin took the initiative to attack Feng Wuhan for the first time. Feng Wuhan also realized that his brother was no longer the same person as before. He would also mercilessly kill him. Kill. Chapter 4077. After a few hundred rounds of fierce fighting, the two of them finally started to kill each other. It was also at this time that Feng Wuhan felt for the first time that his elder brother, who he had always thought was not as talented as him, was actually a super genius who was far more talented than him. In the past, Feng Wuhan always felt that Feng Wuyin was not his opponent. That was only because Feng Wuyin did not use such aggressive killing moves on him. This time was different. When Feng Wuyin would also use the merciless killing moves that Feng Wuhan used to deal with him, Feng Wuhan could feel a strong sense of crisis. A single slip would cause everlasting sorrow. At this time, it was very appropriate for Feng Wuhan. He did not dare to be careless at all. The slightest bit of righteousness would cause him to suffer a fatal attack. Of course, Feng Wuhan had never been a person who was afraid of death. His fearlessness allowed him to still find the right opportunity to give Feng Wuyin a fatal blow. Feng Wuyin had not been able to find an opportunity to subdue him because Feng Wuhan was too cautious. This made it difficult for him to find a loophole. The two of them attacked and defended in a seamless manner, making it impossible for others to see any flaws. Indomitable realm experts were indeed indomitable realm experts. The battle in the realm of divine sense could not be understood by outsiders. In the eyes of outsiders, the two of them were no different from meditating. Mu Baichen was still waiting for an opportunity to make a move. Unfortunately, Su Yun was very vigilant, and Su Chen did not support his decision at all. This actually made Mu Baichen feel quite helpless. Although Zhua Lengyue's attitude was quite supportive, she still listened to Su Chen's words more. I can understand your position, but are we going to keep waiting like this? Mu Baichen said, you should have felt it even if I didn't say it. Right now, our situation is very bad. The shaking has been intensifying. Shouldn't we make some other preparations? Because of the severe storm, the shaking of Mardi Franz Island became more and more obvious. Although they were in the deepest part of the island, they could still clearly feel it. Su Yun and the others did not know about the storm outside, so they were more worried about the consequences of the earthquake. The impact on their hearts was obviously more serious. He's right. We can't just sit and wait for death like this. We must have other plans. Zhualengyue expressed his support. Even if we don't carry it out in the end, we should at least have a plan. The corners of Su Chen's lips curled up slightly. Is the Su Chen you know someone who has a plan? Zhualengyue was dumbfounded. He thought to himself, no. If I was a person with a plan, perhaps I wouldn't be trapped here. Su Chen continued, I'm still the same old me. I still don't have a plan when I do things because I know that plans can never keep up with changes. But this is a special situation. Mu Baichen reminded. Su Chen smiled. The more special the situation, the more variables there will be, so any plan is meaningless. If the island can't hold on at this time, do we have to continue waiting? Mu Baichen completely disagreed with Su Chen's point of view. We should at least prepare to evacuate, or check the situation on the upper floors, then make the best decision based on the current situation. Just when the two of them had different standpoints and had different opinions, Ling Feng and the two members of the dock group had rushed to the 5th floor. Because no one knew the situation on the 5th floor, only the three of them came down to inquire about the situation, so as to avoid unnecessary damage. In addition, they had to pass on the news that Su Ling was brought to the 4th floor. Ling Feng was surprised to see that the 5th floor was far less dangerous than they had imagined. Without waiting for Ling Feng to ask the two sitting quietly, the members of the dock group had already reported to Mu Baichen. They weren't that curious, they only knew that they had to pass on this important news as soon as possible. When the members of the dock group passed on the situation above, Mu Baichen froze. He had never thought about how to deal with everyone being locked up in the prison. This kind of sudden situation was completely out of his consideration, because no one would have thought that such a sudden storm would occur, and it was something that hadn't happened in thousands of years. It was really unexpected. It seems that I was right. In this kind of special situation, there will always be more variables than you think. Su Chen said. Now is not the time to joke. Mu Baichen shook his head. This matter isn't funny at all. I heard that there is no way to open the entrance of the Mardi Franz Island prison from the inside. That's right. Su Chen nodded. I can tell you clearly that everything you heard is true. Mu Baichen and Su Chen were people from two completely different worlds. The two had no common topics. In the face of Su Chen's reply, Mu Baichen was always speechless. There was really no way to communicate. The people above are already thinking of a way. Ling Feng said. But, what's the situation here now? Ling Feng was still curious about what the two people sitting on the ground were doing. Since we can't get out, then there's no need to rush. Su Chen smiled. Let them slowly solve it. I believe there will be a result. There will naturally be a result, but whether it's a result that is beneficial to us or not, there's no way to judge. Mu Baichen insisted. The safest way is to make a move now. Even if you bring all the members of the dock group here, I won't let you disturb them. Su Chen's words exposed Mu Baichen's thoughts. It wasn't because he understood Mu Baichen very well, but because he understood the dock group too well. When the members of the dock group did things, they always considered how to use the most correct action to ensure the most ideal result. So Su Chen was very clear about what Mu Baichen was thinking. Give up. Zhualengyue also said. As long as he says he wants to protect someone, I definitely won't let anyone disturb them. Zhualengyue's meaning was the meaning of the 5 war gods. Mu Baichen was very clear about this and didn't need anyone to explain it to him. I really don't understand how I ended up with you guys. Mu Baichen sighed. When I promised Wan to come here, I was 100% willing. But now I'm really regretting it. Regret is normal. Su Yun, because I think the leader will definitely regret letting you come. Mu Baichen shook his head. No, he won't regret letting me come here. Because he hopes that the people Wang Yi brought can return safely. This is also my guarantee to him. But now it seems that we don't have a chance. Giving up after doing something like that isn't the dock group style. Su Yun faintly smiled. Even if he says that everything you heard is true, I don't believe that there is no way to get out of this prison. Su Yun didn't use my dad to replace the word he, because he felt a bit awkward. Good kid, newborn calves aren't afraid of tigers. Su Chen clapped his hands. I'm very pleased that you can become such a man. When Su Chen came here because of Feng Wuhan, his thoughts were the same as Su Yun's. He also felt that it was impossible to not have a way out of this prison. But as time passed, his thoughts completely changed. He slowly felt that there was no way to get out of this prison. Time changes people, even more so changes people's thoughts. Then you have even more reason to believe that there is a way out. Su Yun glanced at Su Chen. Otherwise, what qualifications do you have to be my father? This sentence not only stunned Su Chen, but also everyone present. Zhua Lengyue didn't think that Su Yun would dare to speak to his father like this. Mu Baichen didn't think that Su Yun would have such guts. Good. Su Chen loudly shouted. As expected of our Su family's seed. Mu Baichen couldn't help but smile. No wonder Wan Guangxiao appreciates you so much. You really have guts. Chapter 4078. While everyone was talking, Feng Wuyin and Feng Wuhan suddenly came back to their senses. Feng Wuhan, who had returned with his divine sense, quickly took a step back and protected his back. He faced all his opponents and swept his vigilant gaze across everyone. As for Feng Wuyin, he spat out a mouthful of thick blood after his divine sense left his body. Although he didn't seem to be injured, he was actually quite seriously injured in his divine sense realm. Su Chen helped Feng Wuyin up. His face was full of anger. Did you make a mistake on the same matter twice? Feng Wuyin smiled bitterly and wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth. He said indifferently, I really have no choice. He is my younger brother after all. An elder brother is like a father. I have no choice but to give him a chance. I was worried that you would believe him again. You really did it. Su Chen didn't blame him too much because of this. Forget it. If you could control yourself and not be emotional, you wouldn't have gotten into trouble last time. I'm sorry. Feng Wuyin really blamed himself and felt ashamed. I've already said that we shouldn't wait. Mu Baichen looked at Feng Wuhan vigilantly, worried that this guy would launch a sneak attack at any time. He was annoyed that he didn't take the risk just now. If he did, even if there was only a 1% chance of stabbing the knife into Feng Wuhan's heart, he shouldn't have missed it. It's meaningless to say this now, Su Chen said. Mu Baichen nodded. It's indeed meaningless. I admit that you're right about one thing. The plan can't keep up with the variables. And I suddenly start to like this kind of variable. At least now, even if Feng Wuhan can kill everyone, he won't have a chance to get out. Although Su Chen wasn't young anymore, the unruly aura on him wasn't inferior to his son at all. Do you think that with me here, Feng Wuhan will have a chance to kill everyone? You can give it a try. Let's see if you can stop me. Feng Wuhan's lips curled into a sinister smile. Just now, in the battle between the Feng brothers, Feng Wuhan was forced into a corner by Feng Wuyin. Feng Wuyin, who was fighting with all his strength, was definitely not the Feng Wuyin that everyone usually saw. Many years of cultivation had allowed him to comprehend many supreme principles of martial cultivation, so his strength could suppress Feng Wuhan. When Feng Wuhan realized that he was going to lose, he quickly reacted. He knelt in front of Feng Wuyin and sincerely lowered his head to admit his mistake. He admitted that he was wrong and admitted that he shouldn't have been stubborn. He begged Feng Wuyin to give him a chance to turn over a new leaf. It was still the old saying that an elder brother was like a father. When Feng Wuhan knelt in front of him and admitted his mistake, Feng Wuyin naturally didn't feel any hatred at all. Naturally, he would choose to forgive him without hesitation and forget all the lies he had done in the past. Feng Wuhan seized the moment when Feng Wuyin's emotions were stirred and directly attacked Feng Wuyin's vital points. Without hesitation, he used the absorption technique on Feng Wuyin and violently absorbed Feng Wuyin's martial cultivation. Only then did Feng Wuyin realize his ignorance. The shackles of his family and bloodline made him fall in front of his younger brother again and again. He knew that he was very stupid, but if there was a next time, Feng Wuyin might still choose to believe him. Because there were some things in his heart that he couldn't say out loud. An elder brother was like a father. Even if the whole world didn't believe in Feng Wuhan, he couldn't do the same as the whole world. Any child who made a huge mistake would always be forgiven by their father. They would always choose to believe that their child could turn over a new leaf. Since ancient times, this seemed to be the truth of heaven and earth. Therefore, Feng Wuyin had no choice but to believe him. In terms of ethics and emotions, if even he didn't trust Feng Wuhan, who else in this world would trust him? No one. Feng Wuyin was the only one. It was because of this thought that Feng Wuyin was destroyed. Even if there was a next time, Feng Wuhan would still be forgiven if he admitted his mistake in front of him. Feng Wuyin would still choose to trust him without any reason. This was the power of blood. Now that Feng Wuhan had absorbed a portion of Feng Wuyin's martial cultivation, his strength had naturally increased by an astonishing amount in a short period of time. This was definitely a very serious test for Su Chen. The two of them had fought for many years and were basically on par with each other. Now that Feng Wuhan had absorbed the martial cultivation, it would be difficult for Su Chen to face him again. I will start with the most important person to you. I will let you taste the taste of loss bit by bit. Feng Wuhan had unknowingly glanced at Su Yun from the corner of his eyes. As soon as Su Yun finished speaking, Feng Wuhan immediately attacked. Although Feng Wuhan's speed was within Su Yun's acceptable range, it was still a speed that Su Yun found almost impossible to dodge. Fortunately, Su Chen's speed was not inferior to Feng Wuhan's at all. The moment Feng Wuhan attacked Su Yun, he blocked Feng Wuhan's powerful move with a cloud hand and pushed it back. In a flash, the two of them took 2 steps back after exchanging blows. Feng Wuhan, do you really think that I can't kill you after so many years? Su Chen's eyes were full of killing intent. Feng Wuhan attacking Su Yun seemed to have touched his reverse scale. Dragons have reverse scales, those who touch them will die. Phoenixes have weak necks, those who touch them will die. Everyone has their most important thing. Even if Su Chen had almost never cared about his son, Su Yun was definitely his reverse scale. If you can kill me, why are you still keeping me alive? Feng Wuhan naturally did not believe that Su Chen had the strength to do so. If I killed you, would I stay in this damned place alone? Wouldn't that be too boring? Su Chen said, with you here, at least I have some fun. That's why I didn't kill you and let you accompany me to pass the time and relieve my boredom. Do you think I will believe your nonsense? Feng Wuhan said disdainfully, you are the person who wants to kill me the most in this world, right? If it weren't for me, you wouldn't have fallen to this point and been locked in this damned place for so long. Su Chen nodded, yes, I wanted to kill you every day at first. But at that time, I really couldn't kill you. Now you are the same. Do you know? Su Chen interrupted Feng Wuhan, one day 10 years ago, I found that I had the ability to kill you. Many times, the moment you counterattacked, I could find your loopholes and weaknesses. But I never did, because I knew that if I killed you, no one would be able to play with me anymore. Feng Wuhan was really gnashing his teeth at this moment. Play with you? You think I'm playing with you? Fine, then I'll tell you today, for so many years, there was not a moment when I didn't want to kill you. The ruthlessness that erupted from the Inaction Realm fighter was truly chilling. Even Zhua Langyue and Mu Baichen couldn't help but feel a chill in their hearts and on their backs. Ling Feng and the 2 brothers of the Dark Department were completely stunned. This was a terrifying pressure that they could not resist at all. Su Yun, on the other hand, didn't react to Feng Wuhan's tyrannical aura at all. He faced this aura calmly, showing no signs of fear. It was as if he could easily control this kind of pressure that erupted from Feng Wuhan. Because Su Yun was too familiar with the pressure that erupted from this ruthless aura. This was something he was very familiar with. A few years ago, he was almost crippled under the control of this ruthless aura. Now that he had defeated this ruthless aura, he could completely control this ruthless aura. Once upon a time, Su Yun would burst out with this kind of pressure every time he was attacked by this ruthless aura, so he was too familiar with this feeling. By a stroke of luck, this ruthless aura that ordinary people could not resist from Feng Wuhan was something that Su Yun did not care about at all. Chapter 4079. Feng Wuhan had already checked Su Yun's mental strength. To him, Su Yun was only at the 9th level of the Earth Profound Realm. He didn't even have 100% chance of winning against Ling Feng of the 5 war gods. How could Su Yun withstand Feng Wuhan's tyrannical pressure with his little strength? Even Su Chen suspected that he had made a mistake when he checked his son's mental strength. From Zhua Lengyue and Mu Baichen's performance, Su Chen was certain that even Sky Profound Realm experts would find it difficult to withstand Feng Wuhan's pressure. On the surface, Zhua Lengyue and Mu Baichen's strength was much higher than Su Yun's. How was this possible? Feng Wuhan looked at Su Yun and asked himself in his heart. This was absolutely impossible. How could a brat who hadn't even broken through to the Sky Profound Realm completely ignore his pressure? This thought made Feng Wuhan's tyrannical pressure even more intense. At this moment, the pressure had reached the point where Ling Feng and the 2 dark warriors couldn't withstand it. Mu Baichen didn't delay any longer. He led his men and pulled Ling Feng over as well. Then, he directly left. He wanted to send these 3 out. Don't look at how they were all first-class experts before the 4th floor. Ling Feng could even have an overwhelming advantage against any other opponent. But here, he really couldn't withstand Feng Wuhan's pressure. Feng Wuhan's current strength wasn't something they could withstand. Moreover, he had just absorbed some of Feng Wuhan's martial arts. This was even more frightening. Su Chen's face revealed a proud smile. He didn't expect Su Yun's performance, but he only hesitated for a moment. Then, he felt that this was how it should be. The blood of the Su family should have this kind of pride. This is impossible, absolutely impossible. Feng Wuhan shook his head. How can you stand in front of me? In Feng Wuhan's eyes, Su Yun should be the same as Ling Feng and the other 2. They couldn't withstand his pressure at all. After Mu Baichen brought the 3 to a place far away from Feng Wuhan's pressure, their complexion became much better. The 3 of you, leave immediately. Don't let anyone come here. Mu Baichen was very serious, because the 3 people in front of him were the 3 strongest people on this level. If even they could not bear it, the others would not be able to bear it. Those who were weaker would definitely faint under this pressure. This was not impossible. Now that there was no one outside the prison and the door was closed, they couldn't get out. Therefore, he hoped that there would be as few special situations as possible. Don't worry, not only will I not let anyone else come down, I will also not come down myself. Ling Feng's heartbeat was still not normal. You have to deal with that guy. He's not human. Mu Baichen nodded. I will do my best. Moreover, Su Chan is here. He shouldn't disappoint you. Ling Feng and the 2 members of the dark group quickly returned. At this time, the people on the 4th floor were already impatient. Those who had gone to the entrance to look for the mechanism had returned under Wang Yi's call. Those who wanted to look for the computer control equipment had also gathered on the 4th floor. As for how to open the entrance, they still had no clue. As soon as Ling Feng and the others returned, everyone rushed up. They all wanted to know the situation at the lowest level. Curiosity was a very subtle thing. Even if they were afraid of the situation below, they still wanted to know the situation inside. Why do you look so pale? Onan looked at Ling Feng and said, What happened? As soon as he said this, the other members of the dark group also felt that something was wrong with their brother. Wu Qiuzi stepped forward and checked the pulse of a member of the dark group. The expression on her face also became subtle. Why is your heart rate so fast? I can't bear Feng Wuhan's pressure. Ling Feng also nodded. It's true. That kind of pressure is something I have never seen before. That kind of violent aura is almost suffocating. Even Zhua Langyue's Empress aura is far inferior to that kind of violent aura. It's completely unbearable with our strength. Ling Feng was the person with the strongest state of mind among everyone present. No one could deny this. Among the 5 subordinates of Zhua Langyue, the other 4 were also convinced by Ling Feng because he was stronger. Even Ling Feng had said this. Who else would dare to say that they would give it a try? Perhaps only people like Lin Gu, who didn't know life from death, and inexperienced young people like Bu Fifan dared to have this kind of idea. Now, none of you still want to go down, right? Lu Xianyu looked at the impulsive young men and carefully probed. If you still want to go down, no one will be able to protect you. No one can go down. Ling Feng shook his head. If it wasn't for Mu Baichen's help, we wouldn't have been able to come out. Under that kind of overwhelming pressure, their limbs no longer belonged to them and were no longer obedient. Aren't you exaggerating too much? Lin Gu really didn't believe it. He really wanted to go. Even if he knew that he wouldn't be of any use, he still wanted to try such an exaggerated pressure. Zhua Meiyan also frowned and asked, Is it really that serious? What's the point of us deceiving you? Ling Feng said, If you really want to go, then fine, you are responsible for your own life and death. I want to guarantee the interests of the majority of the people here. Such a terrifying pressure. Why didn't Su Yun come out? Yu Meiren couldn't help but ask. This was also what Chou Yun wanted to know. They were very clear about Su Yun's strength. In their view, Ling Feng's strength was also slightly higher than Su Yun's. So they couldn't help but worry. If even Ling Feng couldn't withstand it, could Su Yun withstand it? How did Su Yun withstand it? These were the questions that Yu Meiren was worried about. Ling Feng was also confused by her question. To be honest, Ling Feng was also very surprised. Why was Su Yun fine? When Feng Wuhan released the pressure, Su Yun's position was much closer than his. Furthermore, Ling Feng was certain that the main target of Feng Wuhan's pressure was Su Yun. He wanted to use this method to harm Su Yun and distract him, making him feel uneasy. So the pressure that Su Yun endured was definitely greater than theirs. I don't know. Ling Feng shook his head. Su Yun seems to be completely unaffected. How is that possible? Lin Gu said in disbelief. Ling Feng said seriously, It is indeed so. I remember very clearly that even the Empress and Mu Baichen were affected by that violent pressure, but Su Yun seemed to be completely unaffected. Not to mention the others, even the people that Ling Feng was most familiar with couldn't believe it. You're saying that the pressure that even the Empress felt didn't affect Su Yun at all? Oh Nan's expression was really shocked. Don't joke around, how is that possible? How can Su Yun's strength be compared to the Empress's? Ling Feng said with certainty. At that time, I didn't think so much. Now that I think about it, it is indeed so. Even the Empress was affected by the pressure, but that brat really didn't have any reaction at all. Just like his father, Su Chen, he was completely unaffected by the pressure. Su Chen's strength was something that these people had to look up to. They didn't find it unbelievable that Su Chen wasn't affected. Did Su Chen use some method to protect him? Su Ling asked. Impossible. If Su Chen had such a method, he wouldn't have ignored me and my 2 brothers from the Secret Service. Ling Feng shook his head. At that time, we were already completely restrained by the pressure, so this definitely isn't because of Su Chen. Furthermore, no one had ever heard of anyone using any method to protect the people around them from being affected by the pressure. This was because pressure was a kind of psychological shock, and there was no way to control it. It was a very simple principle, which was to say, a person with high strength could determine the level of a person with low strength through their state of mind, and a person with low strength wouldn't be able to detect a person with high strength. A person with high strength would take the initiative to reveal his strength to a person with low strength, and this was a way to release pressure. This kind of release would catch a person with low strength off guard, and they would be shocked by someone with higher strength than them. This was the effect of pressure. This was also the reason why the more powerful a person was, the more terrifying the pressure they released. A person with low strength wouldn't be able to withstand or imagine that kind of strength, and it could possibly completely crush them. This was the terrifying part of pressure. One could imagine how terrifying an incomparable expert's pressure was. How could it be something that people with low strength like them could imagine? Even if it was the Empress's pressure, the pressure of a heavenly profound realm expert was enough to make them feel extremely fearful. Chapter 4080. Su Yun was able to remain unscathed under the pressure of the boundless realm, without any reaction at all. What was the reason for this? Everyone found it hard to understand. Wang Yi was the calmest out of everyone present. He gestured for Hua Xiaolu beside him to call Yu Meiren over. After Yu Meiren walked over, she looked at Wang Yi with a nervous expression. She thought that Wang Yi was going to tell her some bad news. Wang Yi asked in a low voice, "Do you still remember what kind of person Su Yun became because of Hero Yu?" Yu Meiren was startled. The aura that Su Yun gave off back then was an extremely terrifying and violent aura. According to Su Yun's strength back then, he still hadn't been able to control his aura of pressure. In other words, Su Yun back then didn't have the ability to control his own aura. But at that time, the violent aura that Su Yun gave off was far stronger than any aura that Yu Meiren had ever experienced. After all, Yu Meiren was a member of the Dragon Brigade's medical team. She had gone through many rescues. Soldiers who had suffered serious injuries, especially those who had lost their entire military career because of a single injury, would often inadvertently release their aura of pressure when they were angry at their own carelessness. So Yu Meiren was very clear on what it felt like to be pressured by an expert. Experts of different levels had different feelings when they exerted their aura of pressure. She was very clear on this. So Su Yun's violent aura back then was inconceivable. She could empathize with it. She had never felt such an enormous pressure before, the kind that could cause people to collapse. The him back then became a completely different person, Yu Meiren said with a nod. At that time, no one could control his violent aura. Even Wan Guangxiao couldn't control or deal with it, Wang Yi said. This is also why we had Su Yun leave back then. Yu Meiren was startled. When we let Su Yun leave, it was beneficial for him. But this is also a form of giving up for him, Wang Yi said. If he can't control his ruthlessness, he will become a cripple. Yu Meiren seemed to have understood this problem a long time ago. I know you're thinking about the bigger picture. Under those circumstances, there's no benefit for him to stay in the brigade. It's also a threat to the people around him. You already knew? Wang Yi was stunned. Yes. Yu Meiren nodded. At first, I just believed that you were all thinking for him. That time when he was seriously injured, I realized that the violence in his body was a threat. Only then did I understand that you let him leave for the sake of others. Wang Yi smiled bitterly. There's really no other way. Fortunately, after he left the brigade, he met so many people who could help him relieve his emotions and stress. Otherwise, the consequences would be unimaginable. Zhou Meiyan heard Wang Yi's words. As a woman who only thought about things from the perspective of Su Yun's interests, Zhou Meiyan naturally couldn't accept this. I've always told him that it's best for him to distance himself from you. It seems that I was right. Chief Zhou, you've misunderstood, Wang Yi said helplessly. I didn't misunderstand, Zhou Meiyan said. Zhou Meiyan said, whenever you needed him, he would help you without hesitation. How could you chase him out in that kind of situation? I really have to hand it to you people. It's not as simple as you think. Yu Meiren helped Wang Yi explain. When he left the brigade, it helped his mentality. I think that if you really want what's best for Su Yun, you shouldn't continue to stay in that damned place, Zhou Meiyan said. Leaving these people is the best choice for you. You've sacrificed so much, but what do you get in return? Look at Su Yun. Can't he see that? Yu Meiren knew that it was hard for Zhou Meiyan to understand them. They didn't belong to the same world and didn't share the same consciousness. Wang Yi didn't intend to explain anything. If it's for something, if it's for a purpose, none of us would choose to live in the army, Hua Leitang said. Including Su Yun, we don't have any purpose. Zhou Meiyan really couldn't understand. It's good to have no purpose. Since you don't have any purpose, is it different where you go? You think you have no purpose, but it's actually because you like the special power in the army, right? Everyone in Huaxia knew that those who could control the army were truly powerful. Otherwise, no matter how high one's rank was, if he didn't have the commander's seal and couldn't command the army, it would be a waste. Those Sus and Guas who were brought down by the country's crackdown Which one of them didn't have a military rank? This was also the reason why Zhuo Meiyan didn't like Su Yun to be in the army. Especially after the news reported that Tiger Su, who was in charge of millions of soldiers and hundreds of thousands of armed police officers, had fallen from power. The things they found in his mansion were quite terrifying. Zhuo Meiyan had seen the news before. It was said that cash couldn't be counted and could only be counted by tons. There were countless treasures, rare gems, and precious stones that weighed hundreds of kilograms. There were piles of precious wood and precious jade. What a chilling thing to do! Fortunately, the country had received a warning and knew to strictly crack down on these people. Otherwise, the country wouldn't be a country anymore. It was because of this that Zhuo Meiyan didn't want Su Yun to continue staying in the army. Zhuo Meiyan knew that Su Yun would never do something like that. If he offended someone like that one day, he would violate the rules again because his rank wasn't high enough. Then, wouldn't he have to bear the pain that he shouldn't have to bear in the first place? Chief Zhuo, we're not the kind of people you think we are. Qian Feng said, I know that you must be angry because of the injustice that our boss suffered. But in reality, all of us support him. If something similar happens again, and our boss is no longer here, I'll do what he would do. Wang Yi looked at Qian Feng helplessly. He knew very well that these guys would do that. Ever since Su Yun disregarded everything and attacked the person who sold him out and indirectly caused Yin Long's death, he knew that everyone here would do the same thing in the future. They didn't care what rank the boss was. Then why don't you just leave? What's so good about staying in the army? Zhuo Meiyan didn't understand. Even someone who left has to do things for you. I really don't understand what you're thinking. That's because we know that we're doing things for the country, for the people. Wang Yi said indifferently, we've never said that we're doing things for the country or the people. But what is the point of everything we do? I believe that any citizen can see it clearly and understand it. To us, this is enough. It's worth it. Zhuo Meiyan's voice was filled with pain. Of course she knew that the dangerous things that Su Yun did were not for her. It was for the so-called righteousness in their hearts. Zhuo Meiyan knew this all too well. Why can't you guys be a little more selfish? Don't always do things for the sake of righteousness. You should think more about yourself. Zhuo Meiyan shouted. To her, it was a way to vent. At a time like this, they might all be trapped here. She could finally vent the emotions in her heart. Yu Meiren comforted her. There's nothing we can do. They're just a bunch of crazy people. But no country can do without these crazy people. Without them, how can the citizens live a peaceful life? There were too many foreigners who coveted Hua Xia's wealth. Many countries wanted to take over this fertile land of Hua Xia. The history of blood and tears was still fresh in their minds. So how could the country not have these people's sacrifice? If everyone was a little more selfish and thought for themselves, the history of blood and tears might repeat itself. Zhuo Meiyan shook her head. But why does it have to be Su Yun? Why does it have to be you guys? Why can't it be someone else? If it was someone else, the person standing with you today would be someone else and not us. Although Han Zhan's words were simple, they were very reasonable. It was indeed so. If it was a group of ordinary people, would Zhuo Meiyan care? It was because of their extraordinary and dedicated spirit that the people around them admired, looked up to, and respected them. Chapter 4081. Lu Xianyu reminded, now is not the time to sing praises. What we should be worried about is Su Yun's current situation. Can he still hold on? How long can he hold on? He won't be unable to hold on. Yu Meiren was the first to deny Lu Xianyu's words, because Feng Wuhan's pressure is filled with violence. This kind of violent pressure is meaningless to him. Yu Meiren said it with certainty. Everyone looked at her in confusion. Why? Su Ling and the others were very curious. They really couldn't figure it out. This didn't conform to common sense. Could it be because of blood? No. Yu Meiren shook her head, because he has been tortured by the violent aura for too long. Therefore, Feng Wuhan's violent pressure is nothing to him. Moreover, Su Yun is still a normal person today. This means that he has defeated the violent aura in his body. Only then did everyone come to a sudden realization. Especially those who had accompanied Su Yun through all of this. They knew even more clearly how Su Yun's violent inner demon had destroyed Su Yun. They didn't know that Su Yun had endured a lot of pain. But what they knew was enough to make their hearts ache for Su Yun. But no one expected that Su Yun would actually benefit from this disaster. He had once endured the violent torture, so now he had no reaction to the most powerful violent aura in the world. He had long developed an antibody to this kind of thing, especially after he defeated his inner demon and completely got rid of the uncontrollable violence. He no longer feared this kind of feeling. Therefore, the terrifying violent pressure on Feng Wuhan's body was completely useless to Su Yun. The people on the upper level found the reason, but the people on the fifth level still didn't know why, especially Feng Wuhan. He kept increasing his pressure, but in the end, Su Yun still didn't react at all. This kind of frustration was something Feng Wuhan had never felt before. He could accept Su Chen ignoring his pressure. He could also accept Feng Wuyin ignoring his pressure. Only an Earth Xian brat ignored his pressure. He couldn't accept it at all. How did you do it? Feng Wuhan's attention was still focused on Su Yun ignoring his violent aura. He didn't pay attention to Zhuo Langyue and Mu Baichen who had surrounded him. Although Zhuo Langyue and Mu Baichen were affected by Feng Wuhan's violent aura, they could grit their teeth and endure it. Maybe I don't like you from the bottom of my heart. Su Yun's words were obviously provoking Feng Wuhan. Faced with Su Yun's ridicule, Feng Wuhan's mentality would naturally be affected. And now, Su Yun tests provocation. He didn't know why, but he didn't feel any fear when facing Feng Wuhan's ruthless aura. Instead, he felt more and more comfortable. At this point, he was beginning to enjoy immersing himself in this kind of pressure. As for the reason, Su Yun really couldn't say it. Su Chen saw it clearly. He quickly understood why Su Yun was in such a state. After all, he had experienced something similar to Su Yun. So, Su Chen knew how cruel a violent heart's demon could be to a person. At the same time, he also knew how deeply rooted a violent heart's demon could be to a person. Sometimes, it seemed that one had completely defeated the heart's demon, but in fact, they hadn't really eliminated it completely. In some places, the heart's demon was deeply rooted and difficult to eradicate. The heart's demon that couldn't be eradicated caused Su Yun to enjoy this kind of violent aura. When Su Chen realized that Su Yun was enjoying this kind of pressure, the smile on his face disappeared. At this moment, he realized that it wasn't that Su Yun wasn't afraid of Feng Wuhan's violent aura, but that Su Yun's heart's demon liked this kind of violence. This wasn't a good sign, at least from Su Chen's point of view. Su Yun might not be afraid of Feng Wuhan because of this reason, but he would definitely let the heart's demon devour him because of this reason. Feng Wuhan's violent aura was the most powerful source of power for Su Yun's heart's demon. Once the heart's demon absorbed enough violent aura, Su Yun wouldn't be able to control himself. Once Su Yun couldn't control himself, it wouldn't be something that Su Chen could control. Leave here first. This isn't a place where you should stay. Su Chen said to Su Yun, I'll take care of everything. Su Yun had no intention of leaving. Between father and son, there was a strong sense of unfamiliarity. Su Chen's first request to Su Yun was to order him to leave. Su Yun naturally couldn't accept it. I'll take care of my own matters as well, Su Yun said. Since I'm standing here, it means that God doesn't intend to let me leave. My principle is very simple. As long as I'm still standing, I'll never back down from a battle. As long as I'm still alive, I won't admit defeat or admit defeat. Things aren't as simple as you think. Su Chen didn't have time to explain. Su Yun had his own thoughts. Of course, he wouldn't listen to Su Chen. Nothing is more complicated than me coming here. Since I came here to find you, I didn't expect to run into something simple. Su Chen was stunned. He was really speechless about his son's stubbornness. Although there wasn't much contact between father and son, Su Chen knew very well who Su Yun was in contact with. Zhang Yizhi when he was a child, Wang Yi when he was a teenager, and Wan Guangxiao when he was an adult. None of these guys weren't stubborn. Once these guys decided on something, their stubbornness was unimaginable. No one could control them, and no one could change them. Su Yun had been with such people since he was young. He would definitely be extremely stubborn when it came to such matters. Even his father couldn't change him, even if they were very close. Not to mention, they were basically strangers now. At this time, Su Chen didn't have the confidence to persuade Su Yun. "Don't play this damn father-son relationship in front of me." Feng Wuhan cursed angrily. "I'm disgusted. I feel nauseous. What I hate the most is seeing you bastards who act pretentiously. What you can't have is something that others have. Is it pretentious? Human emotions aren't pretentious." Feng Wuyin still didn't seem to want to give up. "You also have a child. Don't you have any blood relations at all?" Feng Wuhan glared at Feng Wuyin. "Blood relations? Isn't it blood relations between you and me? Since you and I are related by blood, how could you possibly kill me just now?" Feng Wuyin's eyes were filled with sorrow. "But in the end, you used the blood relations. In the end, I still lost. You know better than me what the blood relations are." If it was a normal person, they would definitely feel ashamed because of these words. However, Feng Wuhan wouldn't feel any shame. To him, the blood relations were just a tool. He had already used this emotion to hurt Feng Wuyin many times. "That's because I'm more clear-headed than you," Feng Wuhan said bluntly. "You won't be able to walk out of here alive today. Tell me about the child's situation. I'll take care of him." Feng Wuyin was very sincere. Feng Wuhan said disdainfully, "Do you think I care? He has already started a family and a career. He definitely has his own life. I also have a grandson or granddaughter long ago. But all of this has nothing to do with you. Go ahead and be jealous. Don't you want to know their current situation? What if their life isn't what you think it is? Won't you feel pain in your heart?" Feng Wuyin said, "I won't disturb them. I just want to know their current situation. I don't need your hypocrisy." Feng Wuhan said, "Don't even think about replacing my position in their hearts. Moreover, the person who goes out today might be me, not you guys. You're thinking too much." Mu Baichen sneered. "You still don't know, right? The entrance to the prison is completely sealed. Marty Franz Island is in the position of the storm and tornado. I'm afraid none of us can get out now. You're the one who's thinking too much." Feng Wuhan's expression became much gloomier. "Do you think I'll believe you? Then you should believe in the current situation, right? Do you think this turmoil was caused by the earthquake? If it had always been the earthquake, the island would have been finished long ago." Mu Baichen said, "The earthquake caused the storm. The current turmoil was caused by the tornado." Chapter 4082. Although Feng Wuhan wasn't a rational person, he was definitely a wise person. A wise person would always be able to make correct judgments on many things. He was sure that Mu Baichen wouldn't make up such a reason to deceive him at this time because there was no meaning in doing so. The world is unpredictable. If all of us are trapped here today, the knot in our hearts should be untied, right? Even at this time, Feng Wuyin still hadn't completely given up on his brother. Feng Wuhan was silent for a moment. "If we really can't get out, I will let everyone here accompany you on the road. This way, you won't be lonely on the road to the Yellow Springs." "I really don't like to hear you talk." Su Yun laughed disdainfully. He wasn't pretending, he really looked down on Feng Wuhan in his heart. Su Yun's heart demon was completely awakened by Feng Wuhan's ruthless aura, so his contempt came from his heart. At this moment, Zhualangyue also felt the strangeness of Su Yun. Although Su Yun had an unruly personality, he would never give people the feeling of being pretentious. And now, Su Yun gave her such a feeling. In addition to Zhualangyue, Mu Baichen's gaze also became more and more vigilant. Everything he was facing now was a bad omen and premonition for him. "You will be very lonely on the road to the Yellow Springs. Because no one will accompany you," Su Yun continued. Feng Wuhan suddenly attacked again. This time, his attack was even more sudden and tricky. His target was very clear, it was Su Yun. Because he knew very well that among all the people he was facing, the only one who could pose a threat to him was Su Yun. As long as he took Su Yun's life or seriously injured him, Su Chen would definitely be distracted. Once Su Chen's attention couldn't be completely focused on dealing with him, he would have plenty of opportunities to find Su Chen's weakness. This was Feng Wuhan's intelligence. Even though he was certain that he had absorbed Feng Wuhan's martial cultivation and his strength was definitely above Su Chen's, he still chose this appropriate method. A snake hits 3 inches and 7 inches below its head. This all contained rich logic. If one couldn't attack the enemy's fatal point, then it was better not to attack. Especially when facing a dangerous enemy, if one didn't attack to kill, then the one who would be killed might be oneself. Therefore, Feng Wuhan wouldn't easily make a move on Su Chen. Su Chen wasn't Feng Wuhan. He wouldn't fall for his trick so easily and wouldn't care about favors. If Feng Wuhan wanted to distract Su Chen and expose his weakness, he had to distract him. This was the reason why Feng Wuhan insisted on attacking Su Yun. He had an ulterior motive for attacking Su Yun. He seemed to be relentlessly pursuing Su Yun, but in reality, it was all so that he could gain the upper hand against Su Chen. How could Su Chen not understand such a simple logic? Su Chen understood Feng Wuhan as well as he understood himself. For so many years, there wasn't a day when the two of them didn't spend in battle. Therefore, Su Chen had always been on guard against Feng Wuhan. He knew that Feng Wuhan would definitely make a move on Su Yun. However, no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't guard against Feng Wuhan's sudden attack. Su Chen really couldn't guard against it. The moment he was distracted and worried about Su Yun's state of mind, Feng Wuhan made a move. Because just like how Su Chen understood Feng Wuhan also understood Su Chen. He knew very well that the moment Su Chen was distracted, he only needed to seize this opportunity and Su Chen wouldn't have the chance to save him. Therefore, Feng Wuhan didn't hesitate to make a move. Su Chen didn't have time to help at all. Su Yun was also heavily grabbed by the throat by Feng Wuhan and slammed into the wall. The entire process happened in the blink of an eye. Even Zhua Langyue and Mu Baichen couldn't see what happened with their naked eyes. Su Yun, who was pressed against the wall, still had a disapproving smile on his face. "Kid, you're dead," Feng Wuhan said coldly. "I'll let you know what it feels like to be in hell. I'll also guarantee that you won't like this feeling at all." "Is that so?" Su Yun didn't feel the slightest bit of satisfaction towards Feng Wuhan because of the suffocation. His body also didn't go out of control because of the other party's suffocation. At this moment, Su Yun's body was no longer controlled by himself. Therefore, even though Feng Wuhan was tightly holding him against the wall, he didn't lose the coordination of his limbs because of the lack of oxygen. At this moment, it was Su Yun's heart demon that was controlling Su Yun's body. The heart demon greedily absorbed the violent aura emitted by Feng Wuhan's body. Su Yun reached out and grabbed Feng Wuhan's wrist that was strangling his throat. The strength was astonishing. Feng Wuhan was stunned. All of this was far beyond his expectations. It was simply impossible. How could it be like this? How could a little kid in the earth-profound realm? No. Absolutely impossible. At this moment, Feng Wuhan even felt that he was dreaming. Su Chen took advantage of the moment when Feng Wuhan was distracted to attack. When Feng Wuhan sensed the danger, Su Chen's heavy punch had already sent him flying. Su Yun lightly rubbed his neck that had turned red and purple. The waves of numbness in his throat gradually became clear. Because the closer Su Yun was to the violent aura, the more his body didn't belong to him. After Feng Wuhan was repelled by Su Chen, the violent aura slightly moved away. Su Yun could feel the pain in his body again. He couldn't believe that he could still reach out and try to break free from Feng Wuhan's control in that kind of situation. "I'll leave him to you." Su Chen glanced at Zhua Langyue and Mu Baichen, then directly leaned towards Feng Wuhan. He was prepared to engage in close combat with Feng Wuhan. This way, Feng Wuhan wouldn't have the chance to attack Su Yun. Su Chen handed Su Yun to Zhualangyue and Mu Baichen so that they could bring Su Yun out of here. But now was not the time to explain. He believed that they would definitely understand what he meant. But even if Zhualangyue and Mu Baichen understood, it was impossible for them to do it. It was impossible for Su Yun to leave. At this time, they couldn't use force to take him away. After all, at this time, they needed to be united against the enemy. If they had a disagreement, Feng Wuhan would reap the benefits. After receiving Su Chen's punch, Feng Wuhan immediately responded. Su Chen didn't have time to say anything and could only face the attack head-on. He believed that only by constantly entangling Feng Wuhan could he ensure the safety of the others. Su Yun, come here. Feng Wuhan suddenly spoke. His current situation wasn't optimistic. Feng Wuhan had sucked away a lot of his martial cultivation. Moreover, he had suffered a blow to his vital point. Although it couldn't be said that he had lost the ability to fight, in front of Feng Wuhan, it was really not worth mentioning. Senior Feng. Su Yun glanced at Feng Wuhan. You don't have to worry. Leave the rest to us. Feng Wuhan shook his head. I have something to say to you. This is very important to you. Su Yun was startled. Although his heart demon had swelled, his personal respect for Feng Wuhan made him follow Feng Wuhan's instructions. If the two of you have the confidence to protect yourselves, go and help Su Chen. Feng Wuhan said to Zhualangyue and Mu Baichen. Zhualangyue was already prepared to take action. Now that she saw Su Yun being watched by Feng Wuhan, she didn't hesitate to join the battle between Su Chen and Feng Wuhan. Mu Baichen hesitated for a moment and quickly joined the battle. Mu Baichen's goal was very simple. It was to kill Feng Wuhan. This was something he had to do. At this time, Su Chen and Zhualangyue were fighting against Feng Wuhan. Perhaps it was the best time for him to take Feng Wuhan's life. The two of them joined the battle. On the surface, Feng Wuhan had already fallen into a disadvantage. Su Yun also wanted to join the battle. He didn't come here to watch a show. Do you feel that something is wrong with you? Feng Wuhan grabbed Su Yun's wrist. He could already feel the chaos in his pulse. Senior Feng, I'm fine. Don't worry. Su Yun said, I came here to do what I should do. I have to help them. If the three of them can win, the result will be the same if you go. Feng Wuhan said, if the three of them lose, you won't be able to reverse the situation even if you go. Su Yun frowned. They won't lose. My dad has never lost to him for so many years. Moreover, I believe that his strength is definitely above Feng Wuhan's. Now that he has the help of Little Mom and Reveredon, how can they lose to him? Chapter 4083. Feng Wuhan said bitterly, because of my ignorance, because of my selfishness, because of my pedantry. Senior Feng, why do you say that about yourself? Su Yun frowned and said, we can understand your position. No, if I hadn't foolishly chosen to trust him again, he wouldn't have absorbed my martial cultivation, Feng Wuhan said. Now that he has absorbed nearly half of my martial cultivation, even if Su Chen's strength has always suppressed him for so many years, I can't suppress him anymore. Su Yun was stunned. He really didn't expect Feng Wuhan to absorb so much of his martial cultivation. But there are three of them. Su Yun still firmly believed that they would win. Zhualangyue and Mu Baichen can only play the role of icing on the cake. They definitely can't play the role of turning defeat into victory. Feng Wuhan saw everything very clearly. Su Yun was stunned for a moment. Senior Feng, what do you mean by this? I just want to tell you that whether or not you can turn the situation around now depends on you. Feng Wuhan said, but if you want to turn the situation around, you might fall into the abyss of eternal damnation. Su Yun's expression became more and more serious. Old Master Feng, I really don't understand what you're talking about. Do you think it's a good thing that you're not afraid of Feng Wuhan's pressure? Feng Wuhan said bluntly, this is definitely not a good thing. If you're not afraid of his ruthlessness, there's only one possibility, and that is that there's a demon hidden in your body that's even more terrifying than Feng Wuhan, and this demon's favorite supplement is the ruthlessness on Feng Wuhan's body. Su Yun was stunned on the spot. He began to realize the seriousness of Feng Wuhan's words, and Su Yun also began to realize that his inner demon might have once again sprouted malice in the depths of his heart. The closer you get to him, the more you're like a fish in water. Perhaps this is the reason why you're like a fish in water. Feng Wuhan said, not to mention with your strength, even if it was Mu Baichen, if he was controlled by Feng Wuhan like that, he would definitely not be able to reach out and try to pry open his hand and resist. But you did it. Su Yun's mind went blank. He didn't even know how he did it. Because at that time, he really didn't feel that he had expended a lot of energy. He just felt that he was doing a very logical and ordinary thing. You must think that you're crazy. Feng Wuhan said, actually, things are more complicated than you think. Senior Feng, you mean, the one who controlled my limbs just now wasn't me, but... Su Yun's expression became more and more frightened. Su Yun was really afraid of his inner demons. Every time his inner demons broke out, everything he did would be out of his control. This kind of fear was absolutely unbearable for him. That's right, it wasn't you who controlled your body to resist Feng Wuhan. Feng Wuhan said, it's the demon in your heart, a demon that's even stronger than Feng Wuhan, a demon that's even more vicious than Feng Wuhan. Su Yun was stunned. That's my inner demon. Feng Wuhan looked at Su Yun. It seems that you are very clear about your inner demon. I am very clear about its ruthlessness, and I am also very clear about its terror. But, I have clearly defeated it, and I have already completely suppressed it. Why would it still appear at this time? Su Yun was puzzled. I really don't understand why such a thing would happen. Feng Wuhan, on the other hand, understood very well. Your inner demon smelled the most delicious violent aura in the world. How could it continue to behave? Su Yun's eyes widened. Inner demons can be defeated, but they can't be eradicated. Feng Wuhan said, perhaps the last time you defeated your inner demon, you thought that you had completely defeated it, completely suppressed it, and made it so that it would never appear again. Of course that's the case. Su Yun said, isn't that so? If I didn't completely defeat it, I would know it in my heart. But I know that I have defeated it. I have completely defeated it. That's indeed the case. Feng Wuhan said, if this violent aura didn't appear, your inner demon would always be suppressed in the deepest part of your heart. But this time, it smelled a scent that it couldn't refuse. Su Yun was stunned. He really didn't expect that the inner demon that he had thought he had completely gotten rid of had always existed in the depths of his heart. At this moment, Su Yun also felt the inner demon's restlessness. This damn demon finally found an opportunity to break through its shackles. As long as it absorbed more and more ruthlessness, it would be harder for Su Yun to control it. In other words, as long as Su Yun was still in this space filled with ruthlessness, he could be devoured by the inner demon at any time. Once he was devoured by the inner demon, Su Yun wouldn't even have time to regret it. At that time, he wouldn't be able to control himself. That would truly be me not being able to control myself. What should I do now? Su Yun was indeed a little flustered. Although he had always been very calm, the problem involved now was too serious. If he couldn't control his inner demon, when it erupted, he would be a factor that no one could control. The battle on the 5th floor had just begun, and the people on the 4th floor might be injured by his violent transformation. This was what Su Yun was most worried about. If you want to completely prevent your inner demon from erupting, leave this place immediately. Leave the ruthless aura, and your inner demon might be able to calm down. Feng Wuhan said, of course, as long as you leave, you must completely seal the door to the 5th floor and never open it again. Su Yun was stunned. Why? Feng Wuhan glanced at the chaotic battle between the four of them. Because I don't have the confidence to win. But, my dad, it's my fault. Feng Wuhan didn't wait for Su Yun to finish speaking and directly interrupted him. If I hadn't let Feng Wuhan absorb so much of his cultivation, he definitely wouldn't have been a match for your father. But now, I really don't have the confidence. Su Yun's expression was a little stiff. But, there's still Zhuo Lengyue and Mu Baichen. Although the two of them aren't as strong as Feng Wuhan, they definitely aren't ordinary. As long as there's a chance, they can definitely pose a threat, right? Feng Wuyin nodded. I know what you said, but I still don't have the confidence. I will never abandon you. Su Yun said, if you want me to do this, I will never choose to leave. If you don't choose to leave, you will face the eruption of your inner demon. Feng Wuyin said, that kind of pain is something you can't understand. No, I've already experienced it many times. It's just a few times more pain each time. Su Yun said, I can bear it. Feng Wuyin didn't want to lie to Su Yun. Your inner demon can devour so much ruthlessness, so, perhaps only you, who has your inner demon, can be the person that Feng Wuhan can't defeat. Su Yun knew very well what Feng Wuyin meant. If he wanted to defeat Feng Wuhan, he could only place his hopes on Su Yun, who couldn't control himself. This was definitely a risky move, very, very risky. Su Yun glanced at his father, who was fighting fiercely. Even if he didn't participate in the battle, he could clearly feel the huge pressure. Feng Wuhan's strength was indeed unpredictable. It was already unfathomable to begin with. In addition, he had absorbed nearly half of Feng Wuyin's cultivation. What kind of concept was that? Although Su Chen still had 2 Sky Profound Realm experts by his side, Feng Wuhan was only half a Void Realm expert. Under such circumstances, the effect that Zhuo Lengyue and Mu Baichen could play was very small. It was very difficult for them to help Su Chen at a critical moment and let him have an overwhelming advantage. On the contrary, at certain times, they would become his weakness. Su Yun didn't need to look too much. He could quickly confirm that if this continued, the victory would definitely belong to Feng Wuhan. My suggestion to you is that you leave this place and leave the rest to us. Even if we can't get out, we won't implicate others. Feng Wuyin said, after all, those people are here for you. You have to ensure their safety. Su Yun lowered his head and didn't say a word. At this time, the choice he was facing was too difficult. No matter what choice he made, it would be painful. At this time, he had to consider more. Chapter 4084. Su Yun's decision didn't just affect himself, it also affected everyone's fate. The choice now was very clear. If Su Yun was willing to give up Su Chen, Zhuo Lengyue, Mu Baichen, and Feng Wuyin, who had lost most of his combat strength, he could ensure the safety of everyone on the 5th floor. For the sake of the people above, Su Yun indeed said that he could do this without any hesitation. But could he really do that? Not to mention the 4 people on the 5th floor, each of them had a deep relationship with Su Yun. Su Yun couldn't give up on any of them. Furthermore, if Su Yun really gave up on Su Chen, then what was the purpose of their trip here? Thinking about the people above, would Bai Xiaoye understand why he gave up on Su Chen? Would she understand why he gave up on Zhuo Lengyue? Bai Xiaoye would never forgive him for doing this. He also couldn't forgive himself for doing this. What about Ling Feng and the rest of the 5 war gods? They would rather come here and fight to the death with Zhuo Lengyue than abandon the Empress alone. They would also never agree with Su Yun's choice. Needless to say, Mu Baichen didn't have to say much. The brothers of the Dark Squad would always live and die together. To them, this was a kind of betrayal. No matter what the reason was, they couldn't accept it. Feng Wuyin was the same. Although he had his own purpose for coming here, he had a deep relationship with Little Dong Bei. Furthermore, if Su Yun abandoned him, he wouldn't be able to face himself. Even if everyone in the Dragon Brigade forgave him, he wouldn't be able to forgive him. Of course, other than these people, Zhuo Meiyan, Chou Yun, Lin Gu, and a few others might support his decision without hesitation. However, Su Yun couldn't support his own decision. No, I can't let you all stay here. I want to win. Su Yun looked at Feng Wuyin seriously. I must win. If I can't win, then I will lose cleanly. You know better than us how many lives there are up there. Feng Wuyin sighed softly. Su Yun nodded. I know everyone up there. I know that every one of them has 100% trust in me. Otherwise, they wouldn't have come to this place to risk their lives for me. Feng Wuyin nodded. Even so, you still made such a decision? Yes. Su Yun's words left no room for negotiation. They came with me because they placed their lives in my hands, gambling with their lives. They believe in me, so they are willing to leave their lives in my hands. Then shouldn't you be more cautious? Feng Wuyin actually didn't want Su Yun to choose such a risky method. Su Yun shook his head. There's no need to be cautious. They've already given their lives to me. If I don't gamble, it would be disrespectful to them. I must give it a try, and I absolutely cannot lose. I must fight for victory. Feng Wuyin smiled. This kid was really the same as his father when he was young. I know I can't convince you, so I can only choose to trust you. Feng Wuyin said, then close the door. Su Yun nodded. After the door to the 5th floor closed, Su Yun no longer had any path of retreat. He could only allow his inner demons to devour the ruthless aura, allow his inner demons to erupt, and allow his body to fight uncontrollably. If he defeated Feng Wuhan and restrained his inner demon, then when the people above opened the door, everyone would be happy. If he lost to Feng Wuhan or the inner demon devoured him, it would be troublesome for the people above to open the door. Everyone would die. Su Yun's success or failure determined everyone's fate. At this moment, how could the pressure in Su Yun's heart not be great? The huge pressure made Su Yun almost unable to breathe. His mind was blank. There was no way out of this battle. He had to win. This victory wasn't just defeating Feng Wuhan. He had to defeat his inner demon after defeating Feng Wuhan. Only in this way could Su Yun be considered a victory. Su Yun tried his best to adjust his breathing. Su Chen had already seen Su Yun close the door. He was very surprised that Su Yun didn't leave. He originally thought that Feng Wuyin would be able to persuade Su Yun to leave this place. Feng Wuyin shook his head at Su Chen. Although he didn't say anything, his eyes were filled with helplessness. That helplessness seemed to be telling Su Chen that this brat was just like him when he was young. He was too stubborn and couldn't be persuaded by others. Su Chen also shook his head helplessly. It seemed that he could only risk his life to protect his son as much as possible today. However, Su Yun had already made sufficient mental preparations. He wanted his inner demon to absorb Feng Wuhan's violence without any scruples and completely turn him into a demon. Therefore, after Su Yun made his decision, he joined the battle without hesitation. The ruthless aura in the battle was even more powerful. Feng Wuhan unscrupulously used his ruthless aura to suppress Zhuolangyue and Mu Baichen. In this way, the two Sky Profound Realm experts were often unable to connect their attacks. This situation caused the two of them to be in a very uncomfortable position in the battle. Su Chen had also noticed the change in Feng Wuhan's strength. He had absorbed so much of Feng Wuin's martial cultivation. His strength had increased by at least 3 levels compared to before. If it wasn't for the fact that Feng Wuin's martial cultivation was too difficult to digest, Feng Wuhan's current martial cultivation strength might be 5 levels higher than before. The martial cultivation absorbed by Feng Wuhan had already entered his body. It was only a matter of time before he could digest and use it. Therefore, Su Chen was very clear that they had to deal with Feng Wuhan as soon as possible. Otherwise, Feng Wuhan's strength would only become stronger as he digested and used the powerful martial cultivation he absorbed. Once Feng Wuhan really used all of Feng Wuin's martial cultivation on himself, there would be no chance for him to turn the tables. Even now, Su Chen was beginning to feel strained. After Feng Wuhan absorbed the powerful martial cultivation, the change wasn't just the speed and strength on the surface. His understanding of the connection between moves and his analysis of the opponent was much stronger than before. This was why Feng Wuhan was so frightening now. Why didn't you leave? When Su Chen saw Su Yun join the battle, his first sentence was to ask, "Because I can't watch you all die here. Su Yun, if I escape, this bastard will definitely humiliate you before he kills you. He will say that your son is a cowardly rat. Can you accept that? Su Chen was stunned for a moment, then shook his head without hesitation. Of course not. Then that's it. Su Yun, you can't accept others insulting your son, and I can't accept others beating my father. So I can only stay. Facing Su Yun's answer, Su Chen could only chuckle. Okay. Su Chen smiled bitterly. But aren't you underestimating your father too much? Do you think I will lose to him? I never thought you would lose to him. Su Yun, but Senior Feng thinks it will be very difficult for you. He doesn't dare to bet on the outcome of the battle on you. Su Chen snorted. I'm afraid you're wrong this time. I haven't reached the point where I need my son to help me. Anyway, I've already stayed. If I'm no longer myself, maybe only you can control me. Su Yun smiled slightly. He had already felt his inner demon wanting to break free from his control. At this time, as long as he indulged a little, he would immediately become a demon. Su Chen was stunned for a moment. He realized what Su Yun was going to do next. After all sons are afraid of their fathers. Su Yun, no matter where your son is, whether he's doing well or not, whether he's a secretary, a prisoner on death row, a rich man in the world, or a beggar, he should be afraid of your father, right? As his voice fell, Su Yun stopped using his willpower to control his inner demon. The violent aura that was continuously entering Su Yun's body suddenly burst out from Su Yun's body. It was like a balloon that was constantly inhaling and exhaling and suddenly exploded. This kind of violent explosion was even more powerful than the violent aura on Feng Wuhan's body. Zhua Lengyue and Mu Baichen were completely stunned, because they felt the violent aura on Su Yun's body that was even stronger than Feng Wuhan's. This kid actually had this kind of strength? It was simply unbelievable. Chapter 4085. The moment Su Yun's inner demon erupted, everyone on the 5th floor was shocked. One had to know that everyone here was much stronger than Su Yun. Mu Baichen was the dark revered one of the dark troop. His strength could be said to be the peak of the entire Dragon Brigade. It was just that he usually kept a low profile and wouldn't easily reveal his strength. However, his strength had long surpassed the Sky Profound Realm. Naturally, there was no need to say much about Zhua Lengyue. Since she was the Empress, she had the supreme power in the underground world. Looking at the entire underground world, other than Feng Wuyin, who was an expert who lived in seclusion, who could be compared to her? Su Chen and Feng Wuhan, who were imprisoned in the prison of Mardi Fran Island, could be said to be two abnormal experts. What kind of storm had they not seen before? Even if all the felons on the top 4 floors of Mardi Fran Island stood in front of them, their pressure was enough to make those fellows completely shut their mouths and stand obediently with their tails between their legs. However, even people of this level were stunned by the strength that Su Yun had erupted with. This level of pressure was simply impossible to be released by a person in the Earth Profound Realm. In fact, the moment Su Yun's inner demon erupted, his own strength had also broken through to the Sky Profound Realm because of the stimulation. Just think about it, the strength of a Sky Profound Realm expert was already very frightening, and the eruption of the Heart's Demon would increase the person's strength. Although the backlash of the Heart's Demon on the body was very serious, the terrifying power produced when the Heart's Demon erupted was absolutely unstoppable. Su Chen shook his head in amazement. He really didn't expect that his son's strength had reached such a level. Other than shock, he was speechless. If you don't become a demon, you won't go crazy. Feng Wuyin said indifferently. He was worried that Su Yun wouldn't be able to control himself. If the inner demon completely backfired and didn't give him any room to resist, then he would be completely finished. The inner demon would turn Su Yun into a complete cripple. This was the first time Feng Wuhan felt panic from someone else's pressure. This was a feeling he had never felt before in his life. At any time, only he, Feng Wuyin, could make others feel the fear of being dominated. No one's pressure could make him panic. Whether it was Feng Wuyin's boundless realm or Su Chen's boundless realm, they had never made Feng Wuhan feel this way. But today, an unknown kid in his eyes actually gave him such a huge threat. What surprised Feng Wuhan even more was that Su Yun's pressure was still increasing bit by bit. Although the pressure was still within Feng Wuhan's tolerance, Feng Wuhan was unable to sense an end to it. The pressure emanating from Su Yun's body grew infinitely, which was why Feng Wuhan felt a sense of dominance. This realization greatly reduced Feng Wuhan's morale. A simple example would be an international professional boxing champion fighting against an amateur boxer. Before the fight started, he was full of confidence, but just as he was about to make a move, he realized that his opponent's speed and physique were different from what he had imagined. It was a probing fist bump, but the amateur boxer had given the professional boxing champion a terrifying explosive force. How could the professional boxing champion not be surprised? How could it not be terrifying? How could it not tremble? This feeling of disparity was too great. It would be better for him to fight someone who was also a professional boxing champion. At least his mentality would be balanced. Feng Wuhan had a very balanced mentality when fighting against Su Chen. He knew Su Chen's strength too well, so he knew how to use a wretched method to fight. Facing a rookie like Su Yun, he wanted to use a more unrestrained method to fight against him, but he was directly countered by Su Yun. It was inevitable that his mentality would be unbalanced. Continue. Let me see what kind of strength a boundless realm expert has. Su Yun seemed to have completely changed into a different person. In his eyes, there was no longer Su Chen, no longer Zhuolangyue, and no longer Mu Baichen. At this moment, he only had one goal, and that was Feng Wuhan. This guy was filled with a ruthless aura. Su Yun only wanted to completely swallow him alive. He wanted to take all the ruthless aura on his body for himself. This kind of possessiveness was quite serious. Once a person had this kind of desire, they would lose all rationality. Without desire, one would be strong. With desire, one would be crazy. The crazy Su Yun did not hesitate to attack Feng Wuhan's face. However, his speed was still nothing in Feng Wuhan's eyes. Although Feng Wuhan could easily dodge, he did not do so. Feng Wuhan was an arrogant person. He had his own special self-esteem. His self-esteem told him that he must completely crush this earth-profound realm brat in front of him from the bottom of his heart. He would never be as proud and confident as he was now in his life. This was what Feng Wuhan wanted to do. Ordinary defeating of opponents was meaningless to him. What he wanted was to completely destroy a person mentally. And the person he wanted to destroy was Su Yun. So when Su Yun attacked him, he would not dodge or even fight back. He wanted to let Su Yun's attack hit him, and then let Su Yun realize the difference between him and Su Yun. He wanted to use this kind of huge psychological attack to break Su Yun's heart. But what Feng Wuhan did not expect was that Su Yun's fist actually had such a huge power. It was a power that carried the ruthless aura that he was familiar with. When the ruthless aura absorbed by Su Yun's heart demon turned into power and attacked, it was far more than the original power. This kind of overwhelming power was completely unbearable for Feng Wuhan. His entire body was sent flying in front of everyone's shocked eyes. He crashed heavily into the wall and fell heavily to the ground. Instant kill. Su Yun's ruthless fist had instantly killed a Void Realm expert. It could even be said that he had instantly killed 1.5 Void Realm experts. Feng Wuhan knelt on one knee and tried to stand up again. However, before he could stand up, he spat out a mouthful of thick blood. When this mouthful of blood was exhausted, Feng Wuhan realized that he had lost. This was a battle that even he thought had not begun, but the power in his opponent's body was enough to instantly kill him. After knocking down Feng Wuhan, Su Yun did not have any intention of stopping. He still wanted to continue his attack. Feng Wuhan did not dare to face him head-on and quickly retreated. Fortunately, he was not at a disadvantage in terms of speed. However, Su Yun had an overwhelming advantage in terms of strength. How is this possible? Zhuolangyue's eyes were straight. She could not believe that the person who sent Feng Wuhan flying was Su Yun. Mu Baichen laughed bitterly. Compared to Su Yun, who has his heart demon erupting, I hope that my opponent is Feng Wuhan. What do you mean? Su Chen also looked at Mu Baichen. Mu Baichen recalled the events of a few years ago. At that time, Su Yun led the Dragon Fury team to carry out a mission. The mission was to encircle a group of foreign spies stationed in Huaxia for a long time. In fact, the AFP had wanted them. There were about 110,000 foreign spies lurking in Huaxia, nearly 50,000 foreign spies, and more than 60,000 Huaxia traders. Just the military spies trained by the United States to lurk in Huaxia were close to 10,000 people. Therefore, the number of oppositionists and spies at various levels in Huaxia who served foreign intelligence agencies was quite large. The place where Su Yun carried out his mission was in the Jiangzhong region. There were 10 major spy groups lurking in Wuxi City alone. The Turkish spy group, the Saudi spy group, the American spy group, the Russian spy group, the Kazakh spy group, the French spy group, the Japanese spy group, the Israeli spy group, the Iranian spy group, and the Korean spy group. In short, the number of spies serving foreign intelligence agencies, including Huaxia people who joined foreign intelligence agencies, as well as those who provided confidential information for foreign spies or covered for foreign spies, had reached a terrifying number. In the Center for Strategic and International Studies of the United States Empire in Washington, the commander of the Air Force displayed a convenient and portable unmanned aircraft, saying that it was used to fight against enemy systems. This kind of unmanned aircraft was found in Huaxia's Jiangzhong border, so he arranged for Su Yun and the others to investigate. As a result, Su Yun and the others implicated a huge secret base of spies. When Su Yun reported the situation to the brigade for instructions, Wan Guangxiao also immediately submitted a request for battle, hoping to approve the Dragon Fury team to completely eliminate the spies in the Jiangzhong region. Chapter 4086. Wan Guangxiao's request was, of course, immediately approved. The higher-ups immediately asked the Dragon Brigade to arrange for the Dragon Fury team to attack the spies in Jiangzhong. However, after Su Yun and the others entered Jiangzhong to carry out the mission, they were surrounded and annihilated by foreign spies. All of this was obviously a premeditated trap, and it was because of this incident that Yu Ingxiong died. After that, everyone kept their mouths shut about this mission. No one wanted to recall this infuriating incident again. Su Yun went crazy when he returned from the mission. His intuition told him that someone must have betrayed Dragon's Fury. And the person who betrayed them was someone who knew about this operation. The person who betrayed them couldn't be Wan Guangxiao, nor could it be Wang Yi. Naturally, it was someone on the internet. After an investigation, everything finally came to a conclusion. Sure enough, there was a traitor among the higher-ups. He was bought and used by foreign spy agencies and betrayed them for his own benefit. This kind of thing had happened before in Huaxia. When a person had a certain amount of power, he would become a delicious cake in the eyes of some people with ulterior motives. For example, 30 years ago, the director of the Civil Aviation General Administration betrayed his country. When Yunshi was about to succeed, the American Empire's McDonnell Douglas Company, under the suggestion of a high-ranking National Party general's son, lobbied the highest decision-makers through Huaxia's higher-ups, and at the same time lobbied the 3 aviation departments in charge of the civil aviation industry and civil aviation, hoping to cooperate with Huaxia to produce the McDonnell Douglas MD-82 aircraft. At that time, the director of Huaxia's Civil Aviation General Administration was the key target of this person. After the investigation, through gold diplomacy, the director of the Civil Aviation General Administration received a huge commission from the McDonnell Douglas MD-82 project and strongly advocated for the transportation of 10 horses. Also, when Li Denghui threw out the two countries theory and caused a crisis in the Taiwan Strait, he revealed that the mainland was preparing to test missiles and pointed out that the missiles were empty shells, and the warhead was only an accurate test system. Later, during the election process, this godly teammate even accidentally revealed that all of Huaxia's actions were under his control and that Huaxia's missiles were empty shells. Only then did Huaxia know that there was a spy in the team. After the Taiwanese spy, Yi Bingnan, was arrested, he revealed 2 big fish. One of them was actually the senior colonel of the Military Ordnance Department of the People's Liberation Army's General Logistics Department. The other one was the first bastard to become a major general on both sides of the river. Before this case happened, The person who sold the information was the head of the Military Ordnance Department of the People's Liberation Army's General Logistics Department. He had the rank of Major General and had already retired when he became a spy. However, after becoming a spy, he was appointed as a Major General in the National Party's army. Fortunately, this guy was found out and sentenced to death. Otherwise, it wouldn't be enough to vent his anger. There were also people from the Hong Kong Department, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the Huaxia Nuclear Sect, the Department of National Defense, the American and Oceanic Bureau, the Air Force Magazine, and even the General Office of the Huaxia Social Security Foundation. The spies in the department were the most terrifying. Su Yun and the others encountered a spy in the department this time. When the person who betrayed them was investigated, he was originally going to be handed over to the relevant departments for strict investigation and then be charged. Su Yun initially believed that this guy would definitely be sentenced to death for betraying them. However, the result surprised him. This guy actually didn't get the death penalty for betraying the country. He was given a prison term. If this prison term could really be executed, Su Yun wouldn't have been able to do anything to this guy. However, this prison term that was already a lot lighter was settled by this guy who betrayed the Dragon Fury team with his own connections and political power. Su Yun actually accidentally found this guy on the street 5 days after he was sentenced. This guy actually dared to go to a nightclub at night to have fun with some friends. This completely infuriated Su Yun. Su Yun's violent heart demon was also born at that time. Once this kind of heart demon was nourished by the evil energy, it would expand very quickly. When Su Yun couldn't control his violence, he rushed into the nightclub and killed this bastard in front of this bastard's friends. At that time, the matter caused an uproar because Su Yun was in the state of being possessed by his heart demon. One must know that at that time, his strength was far from his current level. But even if he didn't reach his current level, ordinary people couldn't deal with the heart demon after it broke out. At that time, Wang Yi, who was already in the 9th level of the Grandmaster realm, couldn't control Su Yun. Later, he arranged for 3 experts who had already broken through the profound world realm to control him. One must know that at that time, his strength was still very weak. It was difficult to control the heart demon when it broke out. Now, his strength was no longer the same as before. The heart demon that broke out at this time was definitely not something that could be controlled by 3 profound world realm experts. Mu Baichen kept shaking his head. I'm afraid the one we have to worry about now is not Feng Wuhan, but Su Yun. Seeing his son like this, how could Su Chen not be sad? But he couldn't do anything at the moment. Once he couldn't do anything, this matter would be completely out of his control. Su Yun had already fallen into madness at this moment. He madly chased after Feng Wuhan, and Feng Wuhan used his speed advantage to constantly escape from Su Yun's attacks. When Feng Wuhan successfully avoided Su Yun's attacks 3 times, he once again found the confidence to win. As long as he could use his speed advantage well, he could make a huge consumption of Su Yun. As long as he kept exhausting Su Yun, Feng Wuhan firmly believed that he could find the opportunity to turn the tables. He wanted to kill Su Yun. With this thought in mind, Feng Wuhan began to unscrupulously provoke Su Yun. Su Yun, who had turned into an inner demon, was now almost irrational. Facing Feng Wuhan's provocation, he naturally retaliated immediately. After dodging Su Yun's attack several times, Feng Wuhan finally found the opportunity to counterattack. His counterattack was very tricky. He took advantage of Su Yun's hesitation when he turned his body. However, Feng Wuhan was full of confidence before he attacked, but after he attacked, he began to regret it. Although his sneak attack hit Su Yun didn't react at all. It was as if Feng Wuhan's attack hit a sponge, and all the power was absorbed. Before Feng Wuhan could recover, Su Yun's counterattack hit Feng Wuhan's chest again. This time, Feng Wuhan's injury was not as light as last time. This time, he almost vomited blood and fell to the ground. His whole body was like a kite with a broken string. Feng Wuhan had never encountered such a heavy punch in his life. The overwhelming momentum, the overwhelming power, and the overwhelming speed. Everything was beyond his expectations. It was not an exaggeration to say that Su Yun's punch caused Feng Wuhan so much pain that he wanted to die. Feng Wuhan, who was injured again, had lost most of his combat power. At this time, Su Chen could easily control Feng Wuhan. With just 2 hits, Feng Wuhan only suffered 2 punches from Su Yun and completely lost the opportunity to turn the tables. How is this possible? How is this possible? Feng Wuhan's mind was in a trance. He began to become manic and uneasy. He began to hesitate. He began to break down and lose his mind. However, Feng Wuhan saw all of this. This time, he wouldn't pay attention to it because he knew that Feng Wuhan had already lost his mind. Now, he couldn't even hold on to the surface. No, absolutely not. How can I lose to him? Feng Wuhan suddenly raised his voice and attacked Su Yun in a suicidal manner. Su Yun didn't hesitate. He blocked Feng Wuhan's attack with one hand and immediately counterattacked with the other. Feng Wuhan was once again hit in the chest by Su Yun's fist. The explosive power of this punch was extraordinary. It almost killed Feng Wuhan. The manic Su Yun had no other goal. His only goal was to kill Feng Wuhan. Kill. If he kills in this state, it will only make his inner demon stronger. Mu Baichen said helplessly. He wanted to stop Su Yun so much, but he had no choice. He didn't have the strength to stop Su Yun at all. However, he knew very well that after Su Yun violently killed the traitor, not only did he not calm down, but he became even more manic. Su Chen could see how serious everything that Mu Baichen said was. He quickly stepped forward and directly blocked Su Yun behind Feng Wuhan. That's enough. Stop. He is no longer a threat to us. Su Chen probed Su Yun. However, Su Yun didn't care who was the father at this moment. He pushed Su Chen away and insisted on killing Feng Wuhan. This was the most powerful thought in his heart. He had turned into a demon with this thought, so his mind was completely filled with this matter. Chapter 4087. Su Yun glanced at Su Chen. There was no affection between father and son. It was just a pair of cold eyes. Su Chen couldn't see any emotion in those eyes. Su Yun looked at him like he was looking at a stranger. The consequences of being devoured by the inner demon were serious. Su Chen knew this too well. He knew that Su Yun had already forgotten who he was. There was only one thought in his mind, and that was to kill. Because of the influence of Su Yun's subconscious, he still knew who he was going to kill. However, this kind of subconscious influence would cause Su Yun to lose his mind as the inner demon continued to control Su Yun's mind. When he lost his mind, Su Yun wouldn't care about who he was going to kill. By then, everyone in his eyes would be his targets. Su Chen was confident that he could avoid Su Yun's killing, but what about the others? Even the people on the 5th floor were able to escape from the demonized Su Yun's slaughter, but what about the people outside? Although the door to the 5th floor had been closed, the people outside would definitely not do something like watching Su Yun being locked inside and not care about anything. No matter how dangerous it was, the people outside would always open the door. Once the door was opened, things would be even more out of control. You have to learn to control your emotions. Don't let the killing heart devour everything. Su Chen stared at Su Yun and said in a slightly commanding tone, "Give up the killing target in your heart now. Otherwise, you will lose control." If Su Yun could stop killing now, it would indeed be easier for him to control his inner demon. But how could he control himself at a time like this? Su Yun pushed Su Chen's hand away. Although he had lost his mind, he hadn't completely lost it. Su Yun still knew that Su Chen was someone he couldn't hurt, even if Su Chen stopped him from continuing to kill Feng Wuhan. Su Chen didn't do this to save Feng Wuhan's life. Feng Wuhan's death was what he wanted to see the most. However, he couldn't let Feng Wuhan die in Su Yun's hands. Death was the greatest motivation for the ruthless aura. If Feng Wuhan really died in Su Yun's hands, Su Chen wouldn't be able to convince Su Yun at all. "I don't need you to care about my business," Su Yun said to Su Chen, "just mind your own business." Su Chen was stunned. Although he knew deep down that Su Yun was already under the control of the inner demon, what Su Yun had said wasn't what the inner demon wanted to say. It was something that Su Yun had subconsciously said. In the depths of Su Yun's heart, he was extremely dissatisfied with some of the things his father had done. That was why Su Yun said such words. Obviously, Su Yun was blaming his father for harming his mother because of some trivial things he cared about. Su Yun wouldn't say these words when he was sober. However, Su Yun didn't care about what he said in this situation. He also didn't care whether he was in front of Zhuo Langyue or not. Su Chen was speechless after hearing Su Yun's words. How could he not feel angry and ashamed about the stupid things he had done in the past? Many things were out of Su Chen's control back then. Therefore, Su Chen didn't have a choice. He had no choice but to make many choices. But how could he explain it to Su Yun? Moreover, it was a challenge for him to dig up the past in his heart. Could he bear the storm brought about by those things in the past? Probably not. Zhuo Langyue also heard what Su Yun said to Su Chen. She understood Su Chen's feelings and struggles. However, she had to stand up and help Su Chen solve this problem. Who asked her to be Su Chen's woman? Su Yun. Zhuo Langyue flashed and continued to block Su Yun's path. Do you still know who you are? Of course I know who I am. I don't need you to tell me. Su Yun said, I also know who you are. You can order the people around you, but that doesn't mean you can order me. I don't mean to order you. Zhuo Langyue said, I just want to tell you not to let your other side control your fate. If you can't grasp your fate, you won't only lose us, not only your father, but also your sister, Bai Xiaoye. Zhuo Langyue tried to use Bai Xiaoye to stimulate Su Yun. To Zhuo Langyue's relief, mentioning Bai Xiaoye did help Su Yun. The murderous aura between his brows was obviously much less than before. However, this reduction was very temporary and disappeared in an instant. I believe she can live very well alone. Su Yun said coldly, hasn't she always been alone since she was young? Zhuo Langyue's body also stiffened. If Su Yun hadn't fallen into this state, he might not have said these words for the rest of his life. However, it was precisely because of this state that he said a lot of things that he wouldn't say normally. Bai Xiaoye had grown up with the mentality of alone since she was young. This was an indisputable fact. She clearly has a father and a mother, but her parents were never involved when she was young. Su Yun said, she even always thought of herself as an orphan. Don't say any more. Zhuo Langyue interrupted Su Yun's words. She didn't have Su Chen's tolerance. Thinking of Bai Xiaoye, Zhuo Langyue's heart was filled with endless guilt. Zhuo Langyue wanted to make it up to Bai Xiaoye, but she didn't know how to do so. Now, she was in this kind of crisis. If they couldn't leave here today, then she couldn't make up for all the guilt she owed Bai Xiaoye. This was the biggest pain in Zhuo Langyue's heart. Just let him say it. Su Chen said, what he said is the truth that we have to face. If he still has these words in his heart, it means that he hasn't completely lost his mind. But I can't bear these words at all. Zhuo Langyue kept shaking her head. I can't accept it. My heart will be crushed by my own guilt. It has already happened, and what should be done has been done. There's nothing that can be made up for. Su Chen was very open-minded about everything. We really don't have anything to feel guilty about. These are all things that we use to punish ourselves. If we throw them away, we won't care anymore. After all, Zhuo Langyue was a woman. A woman's mind was always more delicate than a man's, especially when it came to emotional feelings. I can't throw them away. I feel guilty in this life. Su Chen wanted to comfort her, but he couldn't say a word. Perhaps he had stayed here for too long and had long forgotten how to express his feelings. Every day here, Su Chen was surrounded by only one emotion, and that was hatred. The anger caused by hatred, the disgust caused by hatred, and everything caused by hatred were things that Su Chen had to feel every day here. Therefore, he really seemed to have forgotten how to express other emotions besides hatred. Brother, are you satisfied with this result? Feng Wuhan didn't intend to continue resisting. He looked at Feng Wuyin with a smile and said, I know that I'm going to die. I also know that even if you're still willing to believe me this time, they won't give me a chance. Tell me the whereabouts of the child. Feng Wuyin didn't have any more requests for Feng Wuhan at this moment. Feng Wuhan smiled bitterly. The people of our Feng family aren't ordinary people at all. Even if I put him in an ordinary family, he can still rely on his own ability to climb to the position he wants step by step. Now, he must have both a son and a daughter. Don't worry, he'll be fine. I want you to tell me where he is now and how he is doing, Feng Wuyin continued. He said that he's doing very well, Feng Wuhan said. Before I was forced into this place, he was already the leader of the Southern Sect Association. The Southern Sect Association has also flourished several times because of his leadership. What else do you have to worry about? Feng Wuyin's expression stiffened. Southern Sect Association? Feng Wuhan nodded proudly. He even glanced at Su Chen from the corner of his eye, as if he wanted him to hear it too. He meant to tell him that his son was already crippled, while his son was still glorious. Chapter 4088. The Southern Society was a very powerful society in Huaxia. Once upon a time, the Southern Society was extremely powerful in Huaxia. Su Yun had heard about how powerful the Southern Society was when he was young. The origins of the Southern Society could even be traced back to the ancient feudal society of Huaxia. It was a civilian gang during that era. The Southern Society's activities were secretive. It was even said that its tentacles were spread all over America, Europe, and Australia. Most of the things that this organization engaged in were illegal activities, such as drugs, extortion, kidnapping, smuggling, and all kinds of flesh trade. They also engaged in all kinds of counterfeiting. They also engaged in all kinds of piracy. They also collected loan sharks and set up some illegal gambling strongholds. Because this gang style of doing things was highly secretive, it was very difficult to deal with them. Everyone believed that the Southern Society was the dark force that posed the greatest potential threat to the world. It was said that the foundation of the Southern Society's early development was mainly the clan alliance. In the feudal society, the clans protected each other and repaid private debts or repaid debts. The South sect continued to develop on the basis of this structure, and continued to exist as an organization for centuries. Of course, later on, the feudal society of Huaxia began to adopt a policy of killing secret gangs and societies, which also curbed the Southern Society's development. However, the Southern Society was indestructible and would grow again with the spring breeze. With the development of time, Huaxia people continued to migrate all over the world. The Southern Society's influence also continued to grow on a global scale. It could even be said that the Southern Society had taken root in many countries. Countries all over the world felt very uneasy about this, so they launched a global encirclement against the Southern Society's members. Huaxia, as the foundation of the Southern Society, also did its best to participate. Of course, the way Huaxia participated was the same as how other countries dealt with the Southern Society. It was not an official encirclement. They used the power of the underground world to encircle and annihilate the Southern Society. In the end, although the Southern Society was deeply rooted, it was completely wiped out. This incident happened 13 years ago. Other than Su Chen and Feng Wuhan, even Su Yun knew about this big incident. He was only a teenager at that time. However, Feng Wuhan was completely unaware of all this. He hadn't gone out for so many years, so he obviously didn't know what was going on outside. Therefore, the pride on Feng Wuhan's face was very natural and came from his heart. Southern Sect Association. Could it be that you're saying that the president of the Southern Sect Association, Chiu Luofeng, is your son? Feng Wuyin's face was filled with shock. Feng Wuhan was still arrogant. That's right, Chiu Luofeng. Ha ha ha, his name should be Feng Luoqiu. I purposely reversed his name. After all, there were very few people with the surname Feng, so the surname Feng would definitely be noticed by Feng Wuyin. Therefore, Feng Wuhan's move was indeed effective. Feng Wuyin had never thought that Chiu Luofeng of the Southern Sect would be Feng Wuhan's son. Now that you know, you don't have to worry about him anymore, right? Feng Wuhan's face suddenly became a little gloomy. There is one thing I want to ask you. Does he have a son and a daughter now? Does my Feng clan still have a bloodline to continue? Feng Wuin's face was expressionless. Actually, I don't want to tell you the truth, but you're already at a dead end. If telling you the truth is a form of respect for you, then you have the right to know the truth. What do you mean? Feng Wuhan had an ominous premonition. Feng Wuin had no intention of hiding anything. He said bluntly, more than 10 years ago, the southern sect was completely destroyed. All the forces in the underground world were involved. The Qiu Luo Feng you mentioned is also dead. This was undoubtedly a bolt out of the blue for Feng Wuhan. Do you think I'll believe what you said? No. Feng Wuhan scolded angrily. You bastard, shut up. You're jealous of me. Do you think I'll believe what you're making up? Let me tell you, I definitely won't fall for it. If you don't believe me, you can ask any of them. Feng Wuin said, the entire underground world of Huaxia knows about this matter. Feng Wuhan shook his head crazily. He insisted on not believing it, as if his persistence could change the truth. The truth could not be changed. He knew this very well in his heart. Otherwise, his reaction would not be so huge. The southern sect has indeed perished. Feng Wuin could understand his brother's feelings at this moment. This was because Feng Wuin had an inexplicable sadness in his heart. After all, that was the bloodline of the Feng family. Qiu Luofeng's death might mean that the bloodline of the Feng family was completely severed. Feng Wuhan sat on the ground. At this moment, he had nothing to live for. Su Yun's killing intent still did not stop. This time, it was Feng Wuin who stopped him. He's already a cripple. To us, his life and death are no longer important. Feng Wuin stood in front of Su Yun, trying to eliminate the ruthlessness in Su Yun's heart. This problem was more important than Feng Wuhan. Su Chan and Zhua Langyue were definitely helpless about this. Su Yun's current state meant that he hated the two of them. The origin of ruthlessness was hatred and resentment. Therefore, if they wanted to persuade Su Yun now, it was completely impossible. Not only did they not have a way to persuade Su Yun, but it was also very likely that they would make Su Yun's situation even worse. Moreover, Su Yun's inner demon outbreak was also a choice that Feng Wuin gave Su Yun. Feng Wuin had the chance to force Su Yun to leave at that time. However, he did not do that. He gave Su Yun a chance to choose. The reason was very simple. It was because he believed that Su Yun had the ability to control himself. Su Yun and Feng Wuin had nothing to do with each other, so naturally, there would be no hatred or anything like that. Do you think you have the ability to stop me? Su Yun's gaze was still cold. Since they had nothing to do with each other, there was no problem of face. He did not need to give Feng Wuin any face, especially in this matter. Feng Wuin shook his head. I don't. Then you still have to continue doing what you are doing now. Su Yun said coldly, Are you very confident that I won't do anything to you? No. Feng Wuin shook his head. I know that I don't have the ability to stop you, and I also know that you won't give me face. I stand here and only want to tell you one thing. No one here has the ability to stop you. The only one who can stop you is yourself. Su Yun was stunned. It's not someone else. It's your true self. Feng Wuin's gaze was firm. These words made Su Yun completely stand on the spot. Su Yun only felt a splitting headache. He knew what this feeling was. Su Chen really admired Feng Wuin very much. Feng Wuin knew when to use what method. He was attacking the heart now. On the surface, it seemed that Feng Wuin didn't do anything, but Feng Wuin's words were attacking Su Yun's heart. He hit the nail on the head and directly pierced through Su Yun's heart. Su Yun instantly fell into a daze. This was something he had no choice but to face. At this moment, the real Su Yun found his own existence under the devouring of his inner demon. It was only because of Feng Wuin's words that Su Yun didn't lose his true self. Under the control of his inner demon, Su Yun asked himself a question. Who am I? What am I doing? Feng Wuyin felt that this move was effective, so he continued to try to attack his heart. Do you know how many people are waiting for you outside? Perhaps you have already forgotten your purpose for coming here, right? Su Yun still wanted to think about this question, but his inner demon suddenly increased. He pushed Feng Wuyin away heavily and said angrily, "What I hate the most is others nagging and preaching in front of me. I naturally know what I'm going to do. It's not up to anyone to interrupt and preach. No, in my opinion, you don't even know what you're going to do now." Feng Wuyin also raised his voice. "What you're going to do is not to come here to kill people. You're here to bring back the people you want to bring back safely." Su Yun's heart rumbled. Don't forget your original intention. You're not an executioner. You're a savior. Think about those people above you. Feng Wuyin still had no intention of stopping. Although he knew that the inner demon in Su Yun's heart had completely exploded, at this moment, the most dangerous person was Feng Wuyin. Chapter 4089. Feng Wuyin was standing closest to Su Yun. After Su Yun's inner demon was stimulated, it might directly cause Su Yun to attack him. And it was very likely that he would kill him. These were all obvious things, so Su Chan and Zhualanghue's hearts were in their throats, but they couldn't go forward to save him. If they went, it would only stimulate Su Yun's current situation even more. What would come would come. After Su Yun's inner demon was stimulated, its counterattack came very quickly and fiercely. His attack on Feng Wuyin was swift and decisive, without the slightest bit of hesitation. It was really difficult for Feng Wuyin to dodge Su Yun's attack. After all, he was injured by Feng Wuhan and lost a lot of his cultivation. However, a scene that no one could believe happened. Just as Su Yun attacked Feng Wuyin, Feng Wuhan, who had been seriously injured by Su Yun, suddenly pounced forward and pushed Feng Wuyin away. He took Su Yun's fatal blow himself. This time, it almost took Feng Wuhan's life. The tendons and bones in Feng Wuhan's body were almost shattered by Su Yun's attack. After falling to the ground, he was like a pile of rotten meat. His arm was completely broken. Feng Wuin's mind was blank. He didn't expect his younger brother to do such a thing. One had to know that this guy had always hated him. A calm smile appeared on Feng Wuhan's face. After Su Yun knocked him down, he seemed to have found some peace after venting his inner demon. In addition, Feng Wuhan's aura was already very weak, not to mention his pressure. Without that violent aura, Su Yun's inner demon didn't seem to be so anxious. Why did you do this? Feng Wuyin turned around and looked at his dying brother. Brother. Actually, after so many years, I don't hate you. Feng Wuhan's aura was already very weak, because you controlled me too much. It's a fact that I don't like you, but it's definitely not hatred. How can I hate my own brother? Don't say any more. Feng Wuhan chuckled in a low voice. For so many years, I've always been the one who tricked you. But you've never given up on me. No matter what I do, you still treat me as your little brother. You were originally my biological brother. Feng Wuyin felt an inexplicable sadness in his heart. After all, he had already accepted Feng Wuhan's death in his heart, but now that he was really going to die, he was once again reluctant. But all these years, I've been harming you and causing you trouble. Feng Wuhan shook his head. Now that the southern sect is gone and Qiu Luofeng is dead, it's impossible for me to add to the Feng family's bloodline. Ha ha ha, I really hope that you can have a child when you're old. Feng Wuyin closed his eyes in extreme pain. Zhualangyue was a woman after all. At this time, a woman's emotions were more delicate. She didn't know why, but she thought of Bai Xiaoye and couldn't help but say, when the southern sect was destroyed and Qiu Luofeng was killed, almost all the main figures of the southern sect were. At this point, Zhualangyue didn't continue. She paused for a moment before slowly saying, but I heard that Qiu Luofeng's son, who was only 3 years old at that time, seemed to have disappeared into thin air. No one has ever found him. When Feng Wuhan heard this, the dying man raised his last bit of energy. Is what you said true? It's true. Feng Wuyin couldn't help but frown. If that child was still alive, how should he find him? But he swore that even if he had to travel across the world, he would find that child. As long as that child wasn't dead. Feng Wuhan grabbed Feng Wuyin's hand. I know that I've done a lot of wrong things all these years, but I only ask you to help me find him. My grandson, no, our grandson, that's the bloodline of our Feng family. Feng Wuyin nodded. I promise. Su Yun's inner demon liked violent auras the most, but it hated this kind of emotional aura the most. Therefore, his inner demon was affected, and his entire person seemed especially uneasy. Su Chen, who realized this, always paid attention to Su Yun. He was worried that Su Yun would have new situations and problems at any time. I made an inheritance totem for the Feng clan. I tattooed this totem on my back and also tattooed it on Qiu Luofeng's back. If he can understand the meaning of the inheritance in this totem, I believe he'll tattoo it on his son as well, Feng Wuhan said softly. Feng Wuyin nodded and turned Feng Wuhan over. He saw the inheritance totem on his back. This is... I hope that the Feng family can carry forward. Even if their surname is Qiu, as long as their blood is the blood of our Feng family, that's enough. I really hope so. Feng Wuhan's voice was a little vexed. Don't worry. Even if I look at everyone's backs, I will definitely find it. Feng Wuyin was very clear about the difficulty of this kind of thing, but he still promised his brother. He just didn't want him to have any regrets before he died. When Qiu Luofeng died, the child was still very young. How could such a young child know how to tattoo? Zhua Lengyue's words were also very realistic. Indeed, how could it be possible to tattoo a child who was only 2 or 3 years old? The child couldn't stand the pain. Feng Wuhan's eyes were filled with loneliness. He also understood that Zhua Lengyue's words were very realistic. Feng Wuyin gave Zhua Lengyue a look, indicating for her to stop talking about this. At this moment, Su Yun suddenly roared and fell to the ground. He hugged his head in pain and kept rolling on the ground, howling in pain. Su Chen was shocked. He quickly went forward to help, but Feng Wuyin shouted, "Don't touch him. Let him overcome it himself." This is his reaction because he wants to get rid of the control of his inner demon. If you help him now and he can't defeat the inner demon himself, the inner demon will still look for him in the future. Only then did Su Chen stop his actions. Su Yun rolled on the ground in pain, hitting his body heavily. These physical pains were nothing to them, but this kind of mental devastation and torture was really indescribable. The mental devastation that Su Yun was suffering was even more painful than crushing all the bones in his body. Moreover, this kind of pain couldn't be shared at all, and there was no way to alleviate it with other methods. This was the most troublesome part. Su Yun had to rely on himself to endure all the mental pain. At this time, no one could help him. However, at this moment, the door to the 5th floor opened. While all of this was happening on the 5th floor, a situation that none of them had expected was happening on the 5th floor. Those felons who had been killed by them actually stood up one by one. These were people who were already dead. These guys actually stood up like those undying guards. Moreover, after these people revived, they were even more terrifying than the undying guards because they retained their strength and had an additional identity of undying. Therefore, their attack power was much higher than the undying guards who were strong when they met the strong and weak when they met the weak. At least, after these earth-profound realm felons on the 4th floor came back to life, they could easily destroy those who were weak. Everyone instantly fell into a crisis. The felons who had died on the 3rd and 2nd floors also revived and swarmed toward them. Some felons who were only seriously injured and didn't die were also killed by the revived felons. These felons would also revive, one after another. This was a problem that no one had predicted. When this problem appeared, Ling Feng and the others, who were stronger on the 4th floor, could only make a decision to let all the weaker people retreat to the 5th floor, but not to enter the 5th floor easily. As for these felons who had become undying, they would leave it to the stronger people to deal with them. They could only do their best to eliminate the opponents. However, They were clear in their hearts that the biggest problem was the limited stamina. Once their stamina was exhausted, if these fellows were to revive endlessly like the undying guards, then it would really be a nightmare for them. They couldn't win. Chapter 4090. As for why these felons who died in the battle just now were resurrected, it was obviously something that the people present couldn't understand. But if Wan Guangxiao understood this situation, he should immediately understand the reason for this matter. The bastards of the American Empire had secretly entered the Mardi Franz Island prison a few times, and each time they would use the chip system to shut down the undead guards, so they would directly face the felons locked in the cells. Although these felons were the top experts in the world, they couldn't do anything in the prison cells. The researchers of the American Empire directly placed the resurrection chip on special bullets, and used guns to shoot at these felons. These felons would be shot by the resurrection chip, and their bodies would be implanted with the resurrection chip. The American Empire carried out new research on this chip system and operated it with a higher authority. Their conspiracy was very simple. Once these felons died at a certain time, the American Empire could secretly control these dead felons, because this was something that other countries didn't know at all. Why would there be a riot in the Mardi Franz Island prison? For so many years, this prison was so safe and strict. How could there be a riot? Who would believe that there was no one operating and controlling it? The mastermind behind this was naturally the person in charge and the researchers of the American Empire. The riot was caused by them, and they wanted to use the riot as a reason to wipe out all the felons here. What happened after that didn't need to be said. These people would all be used by the American Empire, and these people would become the most terrifying death squad that the American Empire enjoyed alone. The power of such a death squad could be imagined. In the entire Mardi Franz Island prison, except for the 5th floor that they didn't dare to come down, all the felons on the other floors were controlled by the chip. The chip's sudden activation was really unexpected. Matthew hacked into the undead guard's chip and shut it down. Although he didn't leave any traces, it was still detected by an expert in chip research that the chip stopped working. He thought that there was a problem with the chip's working system, so he entered the code to reactivate the chip, but because this person drank a few more glasses of wine today, he pressed a wrong letter. Because he pressed the wrong letter, he didn't enter the code to activate the undead guard's chip system, but the control chip of these felons who were implanted with the chip. This time, everything was messed up. Everything was a coincidence, and this coincidence completely forced the people gathered on the 4th floor to a dead end. Fortunately, the 5 war gods and the dark sect people, as well as Xian Yuanji and Gu Magpie World, still had enough power to contend with them, which relieved the other people who weren't strong enough. These people were all gathered at the entrance of the 5th floor. They had no place to go, and they didn't dare to casually enter the 5th floor. Ling Feng emphasized that the pressure on the 5th floor was something that even he couldn't withstand, so no one was stupid enough to go in and seek death. But at this time, Su S's painful wail came from inside. At this moment, the hearts of almost everyone present clenched tightly. It's Su Yun S. Yu Meiren was the first to sit up in shock. Many people's eyes followed her voice and focused on the 5th floor's door. The painful wail continued. Zhuo Meiyan couldn't sit still. Even if she wasn't an impulsive person, the person who was in pain was Su Yun. She didn't know what happened, but she had to see Su Yun in pain. Even if she was going to die, she would still persist. I want to open the door, I have to open the door. Zhuo Meiyan stepped forward. At this time we have to calm down, we have to consider the pros and cons of doing something good. This is definitely not a problem that can be solved by being impulsive. Zhuo Meiyan didn't care about other people's obstruction. Nothing is more important than Su Yun's safety. Get out of the way. If anyone doesn't let me open the door today, I'll fall out with them. Lin Guo also stepped forward to help. Even if I have to risk my life, I won't let anything happen to my brother Yun. Open the door. Yes. We can't let boss be in danger. Dragon's Fury's brothers also worked together. They had an oath with Su Yun, they would live and die together. If they couldn't save Su Yun immediately after hearing his painful wail, then what was the point of living and dying together? Wouldn't that be treating the oath as a fart? This was definitely not allowed. Bai Xiaoye was even a little angry. This is my brother inside, if any of you don't save him, I'll bear a grudge for the rest of my life. I definitely can't let anything happen to my godfather. Open the door. Open the door immediately. Bu Fifan also shouted emotionally. Almost everyone had lost their minds, so even if there were still rational people present, they knew that this was a situation that couldn't be controlled. The fifth floor's door was opened again. The few people inside looked at the large group outside with astonishment. Zhua Lengyue and Mu Baichen were both stunned. Mu Baichen couldn't understand what these people wanted to do. Didn't he send someone to tell them that they couldn't come in? A few girls immediately rushed to Su Yun. They weren't worried about any powerful opponents inside, nor were they worried about any pressure that they couldn't withstand. They only cared about Su Yun's current situation. Everyone swarmed over. Wang Yi and Lu Xuanji, who were clear-headed, immediately told everyone about the sudden situation above. And they also saw the situation on the fifth floor. Feng Wuhan had already lost all of his combat power, and Feng Wuyin was accompanying him, sending him off on his last journey, watching him take his last breath. After learning about the situation outside, Mu Baichen instantly frowned. Then I'll leave this place to you guys, I'll go out and take a look. There was no place for him to use in this place. Whether Su Yun could stop being bedeviled and return to his normal state was not up to him. It required the people around Su Yun to help him. This way, Su Yun would have enough power to fight against the heart demon. And Mu Baichen was very clear that there was no such thing as caring or not caring between him and Su Yun. Their relationship wasn't that close. Since there was no place for him to use, he might as well go out and help the brothers he cared about deal with the trouble outside. Ling Feng and the others are outside, I also need to go out and take a look. Zhua Lengyue glanced at Su Chen, but just as she turned around, she turned back again. Under Su Chen's questioning gaze, Zhua Lengyue pointed at Bai Xiaoye. Su Chen was startled. He knew what Zhua Lengyue meant. That was their daughter. Take good care of Xiaoye, Zhua Lengyue said. Don't worry. Su Chen nodded. I won't let anyone hurt her, not even Su Yun. I guarantee it with my life. Only then did Zhua Lengyue walk out of the fifth floor without looking back. She wanted to fight side by side with the 5 war gods. She couldn't disappoint them. Even if the matter here was very important, it wasn't something she could handle. Bai Xiaoye put all her thoughts on her painful brother and didn't care about her mother's departure at all. She also forgot to take a look at her father. Right now, she didn't think about anything else. She only hoped that Su Yun could end his pain as soon as possible. This was more important than anything else. However, Su Yun was still struggling in pain. At this time, he didn't have any awareness of the people around him. Instead, after everyone surrounded him, his pain became even more serious. If you are doing this for his own good, then stay away from him. Don't disturb him. Feng Wuyin reprimanded. Only then did everyone realize the mistake they had made. Everyone, get out. Quickly. Lin Gu immediately called out, not allowing anyone to get close to Su Yun. Anyone who got close to Su Yun would make Su Yun suffer. After everyone left, although Su Yun was still in pain, he was much better than before. Let me take care of him, Yu Meiren said anxiously. She felt that someone had to take care of Su Yun. She couldn't leave him alone. You will only make him suffer more if you take care of him, Feng Wuyin said. Yu Meiren shook her head. No, I'm a doctor. I can definitely find a way. I can definitely help him. Let me try. I promise I can help him. Really, believe me. I believe you, Zhua Meiyan and Chou Yun said in unison. Lin Gu and the brothers of the Dragon Fury team also nodded heavily. You're tuning in to the Narrate and Escape YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.